afternoon, dear distinguished leaders and guests, ladies and gentlemen, and our partners from Asia Pacific. Welcome to join us for Huawei APAC Green Data Center Summit 2023. My name is Phoebe. It's my great pleasure and honor to be here. Since our today's event is taking place both here on site and broadcast live online, here on behalf of Huawei, I would like to express our sincere gratitude and warmest welcome to all the participants joining us for today. Thank you for your attention and welcome everybody. Welcome. Thank you, thank you. Can't wait to kick off our today's event. All right, so first thing first, ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming the president of Huawei Data Center Facility and the Critical Power Business, Mr. Sun Xiaofeng, to come over to give us some welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Mr. Sun.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you to Huawei APAC Green Data Center Summit 2023. On behalf of Huawei, I would like to express our warm welcome and sincere appreciation for your attendance and for your trust and support in the past years. Thank you. As data center community member, I think we all share the common perspective of the industry. On one hand, we are facing unprecedented opportunities. Data and computing power are driving the explosive growth of data center business. A compound annual growth rate of more than 30%. And most recently, I think the generative AI will further accelerate the growth of data center business. And the APAC region is the most populous and diversified region in the world. Now we are expecting an even faster growth speed in this region. According to our analysis, within the coming 5 years, the data center capacity will be doubled in the whole region. In the countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, we probably will have 5 to 10-fold growth in the data center business in the coming 5 years. So I think as a community member, we should be reasonably optimistic about the future of our industry. On the other hand, I think we're also observing there's some changes and challenges happening in our industry. The decarbonization is driving the transformation of data centers from the power efficiency to the water efficiency, carbon efficiency, from the efficiency to the green power adoption, and from the power consumption to the power generation and power enablement. And the delivery time is another challenge. TikTok took 6 months to acquire 100 million users. ChatGPT took 2 months to have 100 million users. We still need probably 14 to 18 months to build up a data center. So that's a challenge. How can we keep up the pace with the business requirements? Last but not least, the data center is changing from 100 racks to 1,000 racks to tens of thousands of racks. It's changing from a single floor to a building to a campus. So how can we ensure the reliability of a data center operation? As the innovation leader of the data center industry, Huawei is aiming to build up green, simple, smart, reliable data centers by leveraging our unique strength of both digital technologies and the power electronics technologies. And by combining our own strength and the whole ecosystem players' capabilities, including the association members, the regulators, the consulting firms, our client and partner together. So with all us work together, we hope to drive the sustainable development of the data center industry. Huawei has been working in the data center industry for more than 10 years. And 2023 is also a milestone for us. We established our own sales and service team. We launched our independent partner policy, which will enhance the partner protection and incentives. And based on our own strategy plan, we're expecting 80% of our business will come from our partners. So we'll do all the necessaries to support the partner success. Ladies and gentlemen, I think with unprecedented opportunities ahead, we believe with the shared value, with open collaboration, we can seize the opportunities together, and we can grow together. We can build a green future together. Once again, thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sun, for your opening remarks, giving us the best wishes and also giving us a general picture about our today's conference, the background and also the objective. So through our today's sharing, we believe that together we can bring a brighter future and also we can make good use and seize more opportunity in our industry. So coming next, we are going to move on to the keynote speech session. First of all, we would like to welcome Dr. Nuki Agya Utama, Executive Director of ASEAN Center for Energy, to introduce us accelerating digital economy development with a constructive DEC industry policy and standard. Without further ado, let's please welcome.
Thank you very much for the great introduction and great to be here, ladies and gentlemen. This is very timely time exactly for me because after 3 years of COVID-19, we never meet face-to-face and great opportunities to be here in this beautiful city, Shenzhen. The ASEAN Center for Energy is the representative for 10 countries in ASEAN. We're focusing on the energy sectors. The energy sectors that currently really becoming a center of attention globally because of this region really having an issues on the hydrocarbon economics. In the next couple of decades, the region will not be relying on the hydrocarbon itself. Fossil fuel will be soon depleted. But in the coming years, the data centers becoming the next technology which require a lot of energy to supply. So ASEAN Center for Energy is an institution under ASEAN entities focusing on a catalyst, knowledge hub, and also as a think tank. We're focusing on the 7 program areas. First, the ASEAN Power Grid. ASEAN Power Grid is the grid who connect 10 countries in ASEAN and perhaps beyond ASEAN. China, India, and I think beyond Asia is also will be part of this. The next is the gas ASEAN pipeline. Even though we're going to be the net importers of gas in the next couple of years, but gas currently still becoming our baseline of the supply of energy. The third is clean coal technology. We know coal will not last 20 or 30 years from now, but the region will improve the technology to be the cleaner coal technology in the future. Energy efficiency and also conservation. That's something very related with data center that currently we are doing. So we need to have an improvement in terms of the energy consumption. We need to have a very, very efficient in the use of energy for those purposes. And the next is the renewable energy. Fossil fuel later on will be dismissed. Then renewable energy will be coming later. But there are a lot of issues on renewable energy. We have an issues of intermittency, for example. How to tackle those issues? How to provide a reliable supply to data centers when intermittencies happen? So those kind of things becoming a very interesting discussion, and currently we are doing with 10 member states on how to solve the bottlenecks on applying renewable energy by providing reliable energy to supply the data centers. Regional energy policy and planning come in place to provide a very straightforward policy, to provide a very good regulation in terms of the coming years on the issues that I mentioned, that we are depleted of these fossil fuels, that the increasing of the demand, that's something that we cannot avoid. Civilian nuclear energy. According to our study, the region will later on, like it or not, all of the possible energy that we currently try to pursue will not be enough. Because of the demand, we cannot control the demand. The demand itself will increase 4 times in the next 20 or 30 years. Therefore, we also concerning how to implement civilian nuclear energy into our energy mix. Our activities, apart from the activities on the ASEAN economic integration, there are also renewable energy certificate activities, energy roadmap, bioenergy development, highly qualified human resources, innovative financing and business model, feasibility studies and demonstration project. So those are important activities on improving the economic in Southeast Asia related with the energy sector's activities. We also do have ASEAN Energy Business Forum. This year will be happening in Bali in August. Those activities will invite all of the business sectors discussing the issues on the latest issues on the business related with energy activities, as well as the, of course, important on the data center issues, which is the growing fast demand on the energy consumption on the data center itself. So we have also ministry and CEO dialogues over there, discussing the whole issues on the energy sectors, business sectors, discussing directly with all 10 ministers of energy in the region. Apart from that, something that's very important to see is the ASEAN power grid. Last year, Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore already announced the interconnection to provide 100 megawatt hydropower from Laos to Singapore. And this year, Singapore requesting ASEAN member states to provide, again, 4 gigawatt power capacity to supply to Singapore. So ASEAN power grid, one of the very good examples to be connected and reducing the issue of insecurity of energy supply. And most importantly, that stability of the grid is one of the important matters in order to increase the variable renewable energy. We do have a lot of partners in these matters. We cannot work alone. Cooperation and also working together is important. So we work across the globe. We work with all of the dialogue partners, countries around the globe. We also work with the international organization, IEA, ARENA, and also, of course, Energy Foundation from China. You can see CREI, the China Renewable Energy Engineering Institute. We work a lot with them to provide sustainable and reliable energy supply in the region. Now looking at the data. We just launched ASEAN Energy Outlook last year, the 7th ASEAN Energy Outlook. We're focusing on the baseline scenario. We're focusing on the ASEAN target scenario, we call it ATS. We're also focusing on the ASEAN member state target scenarios, which is we try to integrate all of the regulation on energy sector in ASEAN and put it into our model, and we can project what will be happening if we rely on the current regulation in terms of energy. And last but not least, we try to use the least cost optimization because many countries, many business sectors are asking, in fact, how much cost for improving the energy reliability and sustainable energy in Southeast Asia. So we come up with very, very interesting result on the least cost optimization. As I mentioned, the region will be the net importers of gas in 2025, and surprisingly, the region will be the net importers of coal in 2039. So those are something that we have to focus on the alternative of energy supply. The power investment for APAC target is 160 billion for 2021 to 2023, and 21 to 32 billion annual investment needed up until 2050. The emission reduction target that we have is 26% from the baseline scenario. If you're looking at on this table, the least cost optimization on the purple color showing that we can reduce in 2025 the total primary energy supply approximately around 100 million ton oil equivalent. So the cost can be part of the important measures for the region going towards a very efficient and effective economic. So those are something that we can provide recommendation to the countries in member state. And further in 2050, in terms of installed power capacity, we can reduce all of the consumption down around 400 million ton oil equivalent, And over there, we reduce some of these hydrocarbon-related technology, such as gas and oil, and we also increasing biomass, nuclear, and battery. So those are the study that we had in terms of the cost optimization. The battery is important. That's why we put those are one of these measures to really provide the region with a very stable and reliable energy supply, specifically on the electric matters. So if you're looking at on this APAC golden 10 years digital era, Southeast Asia, most of the countries in Southeast Asia, on the position that we have a quite strong policy going to that direction on the x-axis. And the y-axis is the digital process. We realize that some of the countries in Southeast Asia is not really have a digital process yet. But if you're looking at over there, Malaysia is there already, and Singapore already on the top of the digital process. But some of those countries, Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, is on the position that the policy direction is there, and we are going to go on the very progressive digital processes. So those are very interesting stories. China is already there, Korea, Germany is already there. So meaning to say that the region will be going to the direction that we need to have a strong policy in order to improve our digital progress. Regarding the story on the growth of data and computing power drive, for the next couple of years, the intelligent and supercomputing, including the base computing, will increase more than 5,000 exaflops. Those are something that we really need to consider, not only the business perspective. In our perspective, the energy, where the energy is coming from. Those are very fundamental questions that we have to provide. So the combination between the digital society and energy sectors, collaboration, cooperation is very important, starting from now. Data centers contribute to source grid load storage in one and achieve green electricity. We do have some sort of a step. First is the green electricity data center load to align up, joint collaboration on one group or team, and also green electricity and data center build up. So those are the steps that perhaps the proposal that maybe we can pursue later on. So looking at on the energy cloud carbon neutrality. So this is some of the proposal, some of the, not only proposal, but something that currently we are doing in terms of the providing a recommendation and providing a regulation draft to the countries in member states. First, on the power generation. We cannot rely solely on the variable RE, which is definitely intermittency is the issues. So that's why we have a solution on providing pumped hydro, which is pumped hydro is the cheapest option in terms of the storage. Apart from that, we also try to install the lithium battery to stabilize all the power supply to provide very good stable and of course affordable kind of electron to the market. Combination with the solar PV and wind and other renewable energy resources such as geothermal and hydro itself. So we need to improve definitely the grid. As you saw previously, our ASEAN power grid is happening, but we have a big homework on that. We need to improve our power grid because our grid is quite old, more than 40 years. So with the increasing of the supply, which is having a very high intermittency, we cannot rely on storage only. Therefore, the grid improvement definitely needed to be done. In combination with traditional energy, something that currently we have, we know that we're going to be running out of fossil fuel, but we have to provide those as a baseline energy power supply to really stabilize the transmission. And those are providing with the, all the electricity to data center in combination with some of these lithium-ion battery within the data center itself. On the concept and policy standard suggestion, there are adopt renewable energy resources, implement energy efficiency measures, policy and investment in carbon neutrality, as well as develop sustainable IT policies. So improve the green power usage in data centers, important, define standard for DC energy efficient, and also introduce the subsidies. And other situation is collaboration, certification, and also operation and maintenance. Some of those, such as the encourage the use of clean energy sources, such as hydro, solar, and wind, reduce construction waste and pollution, and also definitely something important that we have to do, specify the PUE for new build data center and PUE for existing data center as previously we discussed. And apply tax incentive and also adopt tariff for power and water consumption, release the catalog for state certified products for green data center. Those are something that concept that perhaps we can also convey to our member states. So the recommendation for accelerating the ASEAN Green Data Center currently that we are doing is that ASEAN Power Grid explore integrating RE to other digital development into the ASEAN Power Grid, examine the potential of coal innovation, digitalization, and partnership. Energy efficiency is exploring opportunities for digital transforming the industrial sector to modernize and unlock further efficiencies, exploring opportunities for digital transforming the energy system to enhance RE research and development. Something very important on the RD research and development part. So the recommendation will be digitalization centric, conduct formal, well-designed digitalization program, develop the enabling infrastructure and both physical and electronic, develop the enabling capability, both human and institutional. The overall saving from digitally enabled measures across the energy system is up to 80 billion per year, approximately 5% of total annual power generation according to IEA. The APAC data center will grow up to 2 times in 5 years, especially with DC explosion in Indonesia and Malaysia. This is some of the example of the growth in some of the countries in member states. In 2022, for example, in Malaysia, from 158 megawatt, increasing to 993 megawatt in 2023. Indonesia, the highest one, from 166 megawatt in 2022 to be 220 in 2023. This is an example that fast-growing demand, fast-growing status in Southeast Asia regarding with the data centers. So in the end, I would like to say that realizing the significant increase of demand, reducing the dependency from fossil fuel, we need to accelerate the energy transition, definitely, no question about that, while providing secure energy supply, affordable energy supply, as well as green energy supply for data center and smart world. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nuki Utama. Thank you so much for your sharing. And also, we would like to express gratitude to ASEAN Center for Energy for their dedication and efforts in terms of the energy consumption, as well as maintain the sustainability of our environment in this digital era. So let's move on. Coming next, we are going to welcome Professor Lei Bo-seng, Executive Director of Energy Studies Institute, National University of Singapore, to introduce us the top 10 data center development trends in the year 2023. So ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Professor Lei Bo-seng. Welcome.
Very good afternoon to all. Today, we are discussing the top 10 trends shaping the data centers landscape in 2023. So first in the list is actually sustainability. So a focus of ESG goals is driving 87% of business leaders to invest more in sustainable data center solutions. Second is actually liquid cooling. As we combat the increasing thermal design power and workloads, liquid cooling offers enhanced energy efficiency and reduce carbon footprint. Third will be the AI and generative AI. Powering data centers evolutions with high power needs, improve efficiency and optimize resource utilization. And fourth will be digital twin. So this technology is actually helping to save energy, extend equipment lifetime by simulating different scenarios in the virtual model. And fifth will be the edge computing. So the need for low latency is driving the deployment of local, smaller data centers close to the source where data or content is generated. And the sixth trend is automation and DevOps. So these are enhancing productivity and efficiency through automated processes and integrated practices. And the seventh trend is talent shortage. The industry is focusing on upskilling the current workforce and attracting new talents to navigate the evolving landscapes. And the eighth trend is actually the hyperscale data centers are designed for exponential scalability to handle the growing volumes of data. And the ninth trend is actually the 5G network. Improved network performance and data security are key benefits of the 5G implementation. And the 10th trend is actually chip-level security. So a security by design approach when the device identified, or rather when device identity is embedded on chips for superior data security. So I've been running through all these trends fairly quickly, but for the next couple of slides, let me actually dive into each of these trends and providing more details and, if possible, also giving you some case studies, right? So as to better sort of show the impact on the industry, business, as well as the environment. So let's move on. Okay. So the first trend, as I mentioned just now, is actually sustainability. So to achieve true sustainability, data center actually needs to follow the ESG goals. So the focus is actually on adopting green solutions practices which bring direct benefits such as greater levels of sustainability and efficiency, active client business relations, end user and tenant-driven standards, and alignment of business, technologies, and social incentives. One of the key ways data center can strive for sustainability is through the implementation of renewable energy, which the previous speaker has spoke about. This not only reduces the carbon footprint, but also helps in achieving sustainability goals. So let's take a quick look at some real-world applications. We are seeing a shift in energy mix powering data centers. By 2025, it's estimated that solar and wind energy will contribute to 21% of the overall electricity demand from data centers globally. This shift is a testament of the serious efforts being made towards sustainability. And the market is actually responding. The green data center market is expected to reach nearly US $233.87 billion by 2029, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 18.9% during the forecast period. Adopting renewable energy ensures product safety and privacy, creating safe and equitable working conditions, fulfilling stakeholders' rights. So these aren't just ethical practices, they are factors that can substantially impact the data center growth and development. And this is how sustainability, a key trend, is influencing the data center landscape. So let's discuss the next trend. So next, we actually see a data centers industry increased interest in the adoptions of liquid cooling. So liquid cooling is not new, it has been around for decades. But with the increase in thermal design power per chip and the intensive workloads, so there's a growing need and interest for advanced cooling solutions, including the liquid cooling. So liquid cooling addresses these needs, helping to increase efficiency and manage the heat more effectively. We are seeing a focus on increasing rack density and the rise of AI and machine learning, which require high computational loads. This advanced cooling solution is fast becoming more critical. So techniques such as direct chip, liquid cooling, and immersion cooling are capable of cooling rack density up to 50 kilowatts. However, this is not without challenges. So adopted liquid cooling introduces its own sets of unique complications, and operators may not be ready to bear the risk associated with the switch from conventional air cooling to liquid cooling. So it's generally a matter of inspiring confidence and demonstrating the benefits of these advanced cooling solutions. Currently, cooling consumes about 30 to 35% of total energy usage in data centers, and this figure is actually even higher for data center operating out of the APAC or in Southeast Asia. So liquid cooling can significantly reduce this figure, offering high density performance with reduced over energy consumptions. And one variance of liquid cooling, immersion cooling, is able to offers excellent cooling performance, increased hardware reliability, improved performance and water usage effectiveness, and extends the life of your IT equipment. So as power densities and clock speeds increase, there's a need to improve energy efficiency, making it actually very urgent for the industry to switch from conventional air cooling to the liquid cooling. And this is a trend that actually requires the collaboration of the various industry stakeholders, right? As mentioned, the technology itself is actually not new. Okay. So the third trend, which is actually the rising demand of AI and generative AI in the data centers. So AI and GAI technologies have the potential to increase the efficiency of data center sectors by up to 40% in the not distant future. So they accommodate high power requirements and need 3 times the power densities of conventional data processing. So this shift necessitates a change in the data center infrastructures or architectures and requires sophisticated cooling system to handle the higher output. So AI and GAI are also being employed for various tasks such as workload placement, failure predictions and preventions, and energy optimization. So they are delivering a highly configurable and customizable platform to target a wide range of workloads efficiently. So let's consider a real-world examples. Equinix have created in AI and machine learning technologies to optimize their international business exchange, data centers, and global business operations. They have developed anomaly detection models that predicts assets with anomalous operating conditions to improve an asset's lifetime, reduce costs, and lower energy consumption. So these AI models learn normal operating conditions and then identify any anomalies by monitoring real-time data streams. Leveraging AI and machine learning technology can efficiently manage and plan necessary resources like space, power, and cooling. Despite the additional cooling demand raised by the adoptions of AI in data center, it actually provides better control, reliability, productivity, security, and energy efficiency, all of which are essential to the robust and foolproof operations of data centers. So let's move on to the next trend, which is actually digital twin technology. So digital technology provides a virtual model of data center, helping to attain efficiency gains and better operational performance. It centralizes data, distributing or contributing to efficiencies and reliability. Furthermore, it enables preemptive maintenance and fault detections to guide decision-making, generating valuable insights from the data. By exploring and simulating performance, financials, and environmental trade-off, digital twin technology drives sustainable growth. A noteworthy example is the Sustainable Tropical Data Center testbed at the National University of Singapore campus. So this initiative actually brings together industry players, government agencies, and researchers to actually develop various cooling technology. And a layer above that is actually a connective digital twin that's actually able to predict the performance of the various cooling solutions, right? Identifying the sweet spot under which each of such solutions operates. So that actually helps to guide the industry in terms of selections and operations of the appropriate cooling solution in order to achieve certain objective, for example, lowest PUE or lowest carbon footprint. So these sustainable data centers leverages cutting-edge technology, implementing digital twin technology for real-time monitoring and optimizing using submodels. So digital twin technology represents various data center components, such as power equipment, although just I mentioned more on the cooling part, but certainly a full-fledged digital twin is able to not only represent the cooling equipment, but also the power equipment and the IT equipment. So it actually simulates their physical behavior and uses real-time data to train the AI system for tasks like resource allocations and automate the data center cooling systems. In summary, digital twin helps industries monitor the real-time interactions between the components and optimize the energy usage. It enables faster deployments of new data centers and repairs old ones or perform green retrofit of brownfield data centers, facilitating growth and developments of futuristic data center infrastructure. So next up, we have edge computing, which is also one of the key trends in data center development. Edge computing brings network resources and computing power closer to end user, essentially shifting the compute from the center of the network, right, which is the conventional data center, to the edge, where a lot of the data and content is actually produced. So why is it needed? Several drivers are affecting the adoption of edge computing, right? First is actually the need for low latencies and data privacies, right? Then there's the proliferation of the 5G network, the rise of the industrial IoT, data gap between source and data, the use of software-defined network and network function virtualization to replace hardware, and the demand for video streaming and AR/VR applications. So this trend has actually led to the expansion of small distributed data centers at the network edge, and various types of data centers can be deployed for edge computing. So the development of edge computing not only accelerates the deployment of 5G and IoT, but also supports the business and industrial developments relying on digital infrastructure. So next, let's look at the trend related to accelerated adoptions of automation and DevOps in data centers. So automation and DevOps practices greatly enhance productivity, efficiency, and allows minimal human resource involvement. Cognitive systems are being deployed in edge data center using the robotics and drones. So the adoption of intelligent autonomous systems for smaller tasks and distributed environments is becoming more common, primarily for data collections and security purposes. So these systems augment human capabilities, especially in inspections and maintenance tasks. In fact, 40% of data centers providers surveyed stated they will be deploying robotic systems. And global spending on such systems rose by 70.1% to $130 billion in 2020, and is expected to reach $241.4 billion by 2023. So automation helps in the microscopic monitoring of data centers, enhancing operational capabilities, integrating the AI ops, and securing the data center environment, tasks that are otherwise challenging with humans' capabilities alone. So it's estimated that about 80% of traditional data centers will close down by 2025, and the remaining 50% will increase their efficiency by about 30% with automations. And DevOps practices are also becoming integral. The goal is actually to automate everything, with 100% automation becoming the standards and for any DevOps-based organization. Team formations are becoming more flexible, and there's an increased emphasis on using tools for every task in the DevOps data center environment. So proper DevOps practices ensure a highly aligned working culture that helps manage the data center environment for faster response during the changing scenarios and scaling of data center capacity. Next, we have the issues of data, or rather talent shortage, right? So a diverse and resilient workforce is essential for data centers of the future. It's estimated that the number of staff needed will grow from around 2 million to nearly 2.3 million by 2025. This highlights the needs for the development of training programs and collaboration with academic institutions. So institutional training can exploit the talent pool at an early stage, right? For example, you can actually embed students to work in a data center environment, or work in a M&E consultant that's actually designing the data center or retrofitting brownfield data centers. We should encourage schools and colleges to build hands-on skills for a data center career. Collaborating with university empowers the next generation of data center professionals by creating real-world experiences and readiness. And that's one of our objectives of me setting up the Sustainable Tropical Data Center Testbed, is actually to use this testbed to facilitate training and educations. So there's also an emphasis of upskilling of existing workforce and attracting new talent, and it's important to educate from within by building data centers, academies, and universities. The emphasis on programs that will help retrain, as well as retain and upskill the next generation of data center professionals and specialists. Employee strength is essential for supporting the automations and DevOps-based practices, as well as achieving various operational technology advancements to meet the market demand. So the training in schools and colleges, along with the collaboration with academic institutions, has the potential to revolutionize the data center industry and project it to a forefront of societal awareness and attractions. So let's quickly move on to the remaining trends. So next, I have the hyperscale data centers. So hyperscale data centers actually provides the exponential scalabilities to handle the growing volume of demand, which is much talked about by the previous speakers. So as of end of 2021, there are 728 hyperscale data centers operating globally, and this figure is expected to reach around 1,000 by the end of 2024. And businesses are shifting away from the enterprise data centers to focus more on their core competencies rather than data center management. So as stated in the recent report, enterprises do not want to spend millions to build and operate the data centers. And this is where hyperscale data centers comes in. So it allows companies to scale their resources within a short time. And hyperscale data centers are characterized by the ability to provide flexible and scalable on-demand IT, as well as allowing the companies to expand and reduce the server capacity based on their demand. Of course, there are challenges, particularly surrounding securities and gaining the customer's confidence. However, the ability to handle increased computing and storage requirements with increased energy efficiency is actually driving the industry to focus on the hyperscale data centers. And hyperscale data centers can help to boost the digital economy's infrastructure while achieving sustainability goals parallelly. That's why if you look around the world, most of the hyperscale data centers are in fact very advanced in terms of their sustainability initiative. So let's quickly look at the 5G network and in the context of data centers. So the introduction of 5G with edge computing actually creates opportunities to enhance digital experiences, improve performance, and support data security, and enable continuous operations across various industries. 5G increased the network speeds, while edge computing significantly reduces the latency. In fact, to reach a high speed set by 5G, reliance on edge computing is actually vital. So edge computing actually stores all data locally and doesn't need to interact with the cloud, providing a 5G network with protection from hackers and technology mishap. So how does 5G impact the data centers today? So 5G networks demands more computing capacities and associated infrastructure such as storage, connectivities, and edge computing support. However, many data centers operators are currently adopting a wait-and-see approach while it comes to 5G rollout due to the flexibility built into their existing architectures. So data center can investigate 5G the effects on existing technologies such as the network functions, virtualization, and software-defined networking to ensure that they can handle the increased workload. Furthermore, data centers can increase their lifecycle upgrades progresses by replacing the simpler networking hardware like switches and routers with 5G capable ones. So overall, 5G networks accelerates the edge computing infrastructure, expanding the local digital ecosystems and impacting the traditional business ecosystems. So let's move on to the last trend, right, which is actually the rise of the chip-level security in data centers. So as cyber threats increase, the focus on security has to actually grow more critical. And we are seeing a greater expansion of the attacks with the adoptions of new technology like 5G and AI. Moreover, the migrations to the cloud actually increases the reliance on the third-party vendors, making us more susceptible to data breaches. In fact, 59% of companies surveyed have experienced a data breach due to a vendor or a third party. So as data generation is actually set to exceed 180 zettabytes by 2025, it becomes imperative to secure this vast amount of data. And this is leading to a transition towards adopting a zero-trust model, which actually operates under the principle of never trust, always verify. With this shift, there's greater emphasis on third-party risk assessment and integration of chip-level security measures for both hardware and software. So establishing a root of trust is a foundation essential for chip-level security. Device identities embedded on chips ensures the ultimate achievement in security by design. And this means promoting the hardware base trusted platform modules and microcontroller units, which are small, self-contained computers on a single integrated circuits or microchips. So this enables a device identity along with a more complex and security functions. So let me just quickly conclude, right, by sort of urging the data center economy, right, to come together, right, and actually act on the various challenges, right? No doubt there are actually a lot of challenges, but there are also a lot of opportunities. So to really make data centers sustainable, so it requires all hands on deck. So the industry players together with the government agencies and the academia have to come together so as to actually come up with innovative and sustainable data center solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Lei Bo-Seng. Thank you for your detailed illustration about the trends and also the factors that influence the development of the data center. And it is pretty clear that in order to move forward, it requires the mutual collaboration for all the stakeholders to stay together. So today is a great opportunity for us to sit together and to share and learn, and hopefully we can build up mutual trust and mutual cooperation. So coming next, we would like to welcome Mr. Li Huiyong, the Vice President of Huawei Data Center Facility Domain, to introduce us the key topic of our today's conference, which is Smart DC, Building the Green Future. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's please welcome Mr. Li. Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Really great pleasure to be here. It's our honor to invite all of you to join this kind of summit. Thank you for coming. Today, I would like to share the content about Huawei's future-oriented data center and also some amazing products. As we know that, for the foundation of the data center, the computing power is really important. And based on the report, the general computing power's average growth rate is like 18.2, and while the AI computing power is 52. But even though we are thinking this kind of forecast is also conservative because of GPT technology, because we know there's like two scenarios for the GPT technology, and one is modeling like training. So for the GPT 3.5, they require 3,600 pflops days. And also this kind of model integration and models migration needed a similar kind of the computing power. Second scenario is the model like a daily operation. And as ChatGPT in 2023, in January, there's more than 616 million people visit it. And we required it like more than 408,000 pflops. And this is like just the beginning. And also this happening globally, as you see in the Asia Pacific. And the growth rate is like 36 times, reached to 3,430 like EFLOPS. And also the data volume grows 3.8 times to 34.5 ZBs. And in the Thailand and also in the Indonesia and Malaysia and Philippines, the growth rate also more than like 22, even reached 38. So this is just beginning, and the future of this kind of data center is totally sure, it's optimistic. So let's see what will happen also in the future. And we observed some changes in this industry, and we summarize them into 4 factors. The first one is carbon neutrality. And this is not like social responsibility or profitability. It's already also related whether we can get the permission from the government or acquire the end user. And the second is about the business agility. And we know that time to market is a key in the competition. If we can build a data center in 6 months, while others needed like 18 months, what will be the business result? And the third one is operation and maintenance efficiency. So if for current data center now moving from like hundreds of racks to thousands of racks, from a single building to a campus, but we are lack a shortage of the operation and maintenance people globally, especially in the emerging market like in the Asia Pacific. And the last one is reliability. And this is last but not the least. And any single incident will impact millions of the users' life. So this will be really different. So how we will do in this kind of futures-oriented data center? Remember this kind of key factor. Here would be Huawei's answer. GSSR, green, smart, simple, and smart, and reliable. So when we are thinking green, it should be not only considering the original resources should be like renewable energy, but also the usage should be efficiency, not only for the electrical, but also for the water part. And also considering the difference in the data center, space is also a big important resources. So space saving is also important. And the second, we're talking about simple. Simple always considering deployment and maintenance. So we know data center is a project play. If we can convert a project play into a product play, that will be really different. And also for the maintenance, if we can easily to recover the system and reduce the requirement of the people's skill, that will be really helpful for the maintenance. And the third one is smart. And we are thinking to introduce AI into the operation and maintenance daily life. And we can make the automatic inspection for like more than 2,000 racks, maybe in 5 minutes instead of hours. And also, AI could be really helpful in the cooling system optimization of the efficiency. And for the reliable, we know that normally we will solve the issue when the issue happens. But if we can do in protective protection, that will be really totally different. Of course, the product is not like be maintained, but also be designed. So it should be from the different levels, architectures reliable. So we see this is the whole architecture for this data center. But if we check into detail, we see the power system and the cooling system is the most important. And let's see one by one. As we see in the power system, the IT density is increasing from like 2 or 3 kilowatts per rack until now to 16 kilowatts. So if we are checking the power system space required, if only 4 kilowatts per rack, maybe the power system space is only 1/4 of the white space. But when they reached like 8 kilowatts per rack, maybe it's already 1/2, like 50% of the white rooms. And when the density reached to 16 kilowatts, it's almost equal the white space. So this is really a big waste, because when you buy a space, and only 50% of them can use for the racks. So from our perspective, a compact power system would be really a good solution to solve this issue. So to reach this kind of the solution, we are thinking maybe first we can to introduce, using the high density UPS from 30 kilowatts to 50 kilowatts, even like 100 kilowatts. Maybe this is really helpful. And the second, we can optimize the structural layout. Because if you check in the UPS inside, there are so many spaces. And if we can redefine the load switches and putting them into this cabinet, it's also a saving the spaces. And also, the third one, maybe we can integrate the different elements into one system, like iPhone, right? Putting the phone, MP3, and also the internet together to reduce the spaces requirement. And based on our practice, if you're using this kind of 3 technology, and more than 30% space can be saving. Okay, this is about the space part. And the second, we want to talk about efficiency. Because in the power system, efficiency is always really important. And we know that even any 1% of the efficiency improved, the PLF will be reduced 0.01. And 20 years ago, maybe it's only 80% efficiency, and based on the technology developing, now it's reached 96 or 97. And if you want to improve a little more, it's really, really hard. So from our perspective, maybe we need to considering the end-to-end efficiency, not only considering one part. So if we continue end-to-end, maybe the first important is to reduce the transmission paths. Normally we use cables, right? So if we can use a copper bar to instead of the cable, maybe like 30 meters cable can reduce to only 10. And this is helpful. And the second, normally we have the AC, DC, DC, AC, like 3 levels conversion. And if we can using SECO model, which will reduce the conversion levels into 1, and the efficiency will be improved a lot. And we can reach the like 99.1%. And the third one, we can also need to use like better qualities equipment for improve the DC, AC, or AC, DC's conversions efficiency. This is really helpful also. So based on this kind of the practice, we can from like the end-to-end, from 95% to 98. That would be really helpful. And the third one, we know the power system always really important for the reliable. Because if any problem happened for the power system, the data center will be really a disaster. So if we checking the problem happened, it's almost like 44% from power system. And 40% of the power system is a UPS. And if we go into detail again, you will find normally will happen as a fan or the capacitors or even some batteries. So if we want to improve the reliability of power system, we need to solve this key components problem. Of course, we can use better qualities of fan or like capacitors, but also we can doing like a preventive protection for these key components. And based on this way, even we can forecast 1 year before the fan or like the capacitors have problem, we can making this alarm and you can change in advance instead of this situation happen. And also, we can building like end-to-end architecture to considering them like from components and to the products level and from system level. In the components level, you can like just hot swap in 1 minute. And in the products level, we have the redundancy to keep this end-to-end architecture reliable. So based on this guide, in fact, we are doing this kind of developing since 2015. We integrated the UPS and the module, the distributed cabinet together. And in 2018, we integrated more elements and in the space saving, efficiency, and reliable. And more customers accept this solution, and they like it. Now we are serving more than 2,400 megawatts globally. But we never stop, because we are also seeing some requirements, like in the Asia or Europe, you have Form 4B's requirement, installation against the wall, and also the technology developing. So today, we bring this kind of new PowerPod 3.0. Let's see the video. Yeah. Amazing product for the large data centers. So all this product is developing based on the GSSR's principle. As we see, it's very green because we can use only 10 cabinets comparing the traditional maybe 18 cabinets. And it can save more than 30% of the space. And also the efficiency with the SECO model, the percentage of the efficiency can reach from 95.4 to 98.4. So it's really green helpful. And the second also, it's very smart, simple. And all of them is prefabricated. And in on-site, you don't need a cable installation on-site. And just putting them into 2 weeks, you can finish it. Comparing before, you need 2 months. And also it's very smart because all with the intelligent temperature sensors inside, you can have the visible for the whole link of the data center. And also the preventive protection function is launched in this product. And you can forecast the problem about a fan or capacitors 1 year before. So this would be really helpful for the power systems building. And besides the power system, cooling system is also very important. And we know that the cost in the TCO 10 years, electrical cost more than 50 to 60%. And if you check in detail, for the cooling system, almost 26% of total. So if we want to improve the efficiency or reduce the cost, so cooling system is the key. And if we want to find the answer, maybe we need to go back to the basic theories. As we know, in a proper conditions, the convection ranking cycle is a heat transfer is much better than reserve ranking cycle because it's directly from the high temperature to the low temperature. No need refrigerating work. And also with the high temperature supply would be helpful us to using maximum the free cooling time. Because from the delta T1 to delta T2, you can have more time to use the free cooling time. So this is something changing or can do to improve the efficiency. And also the third one, in the cooling system, there's millions capacity or millions consideration. So with AI, we can help to improve it also. So let's see one by one. For example, the temperature, maybe average temperature is less than 25 or 26, we can use an IEC solution. Because in the IEC solution, almost the time he is using the convection recycle, the heat transfer function. And based on the Xiongguan's case, the temperature 21 average, he can use it more than 4,300 times for the free cooling. And the COF can reduce 0.167. And also the WE can reduce 1.05. So with this way, we can reduce the cost of the electrical. And besides that, the IEC solution also more reliable because it's distributed architecture. Any problem happened in one system would be not impact the whole system. And also, we separated the control model and the fan driver out. So in this way, you can maintain, just plug in, and it's done in 1 or 2 minutes. So this is more reliable and more simple for us to do. But this is also related to the buildings, and in some situation, maybe the temperature is too high. So chilled cooling system maybe is also preferred. But from our perspective, we also needed to do something, like improve the chilled efficiency, or maybe we can increase the temperature of supply. Because when we define the supply temperature, normally related with the IT sensitive. Because before, the IT server is really not useful. Maybe they required a very low temperature. But now, you see, Huawei or Huawei, or even Dell, they launched the temperature could be from 10 degrees to 35. And also the Azure in 2023, he's suggesting 18 to 27. So from this way, the temperature could be higher to increase the temperature. And we know that every 1 degree increase, the 3% power consumption for the chiller could be reduced. So this is really helpful. And we know that also in the Asia, even in Europe, more and more customers using this kind of the scenario. And you are using the high temperature of the supply. That's the reason we bring a new product, smart fan wall. Let's see the video. So this fan wall is also designed based on the GSSR. It's like green, simple, smart, and reliable. And here I want to introduce like 2 key points. Here, the first one is like for the fan. Huawei is the only one defined the fan for the data center. Because if you check in the industry, all the fan is different like Huawei. Because when we analyze the problem about fan, more than like 90.4% is about the fan driver. Normally, the fan driver is inside of the fan. So we take it out, and the fan's air volume can increase 45%, and the efficiency can improve 6. And also, with the driving outside, you can easily to making the maintenance for this fan driver. So this, I think, is really helpful for the smart fan. And the second, it's like new dual models, because in this way, the design can be helping if the input, one input, have some problem. The system can automatically switch to another one. And it's really important, like 0 milliseconds in switch over. And the service, the temperature will not have any changes. So this is really helpful for the chiller system. And besides that, we know that because with these products, and we are just developing and invested more than 10% of our revenue in the R&D, and to developing more and more products from like components level, products level, even system level. And we also have globally more than 12 data centers, R&D centers, to working for it. And through this way, we can building more and more new products and more GSSR products. And thanks with your thank you with your trust and using now more than 100 countries and regionals using Huawei's data center. We are serving more than 1,000 large data centers globally, and it's almost like 1.8 million racks, equals like 1.14 gigawatts. And all these solutions with like grateful products like modular UPS, like a modular DC and prefectural DCs. All this like market sharing is leading in the #1. So this kind of products and with your trust together, I think we can working together and building the green data center. And we can catch this kind of a big opportunity of the data center, and we can building the green future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Li Huiyong, for your introduction about our latest product, Huawei PowerPod 3.0, and also our smart fan wall. Exactly. As a leader in the data center facility industry, Huawei is always committed to develop the products and the solutions that are more efficient, intelligent, and also reliable. So just now, we've shown you the video clip about our latest product. And now, ladies and gentlemen, since under your presence and also witness, we would like to have our latest product release right here on the stage. So at this very moment, we would like to welcome our distinguished leaders and guests joining us. Let's please welcome President of Huawei Data Center Facility and Critical Power Business, Mr. Sun Xiaofeng, and also welcome President of Huawei Digital Power APAC, Mr. Bohem Sun, and also welcome President of Huawei Data Center Facility and Critical Power Business APAC, Mr. Steve Kim, and also welcome Vice President of Huawei Data Center Facility Domain, Mr. Li Huiyong, joining us for our latest product launch for this moment. Welcome, 4 of our gentlemen. Please step behind the red curtain. Okay, hold on just a second. As the rest of our today's audience, let's count down for 3 seconds and witness the grand moment. 3, 2, 1. So under your presence and witness, ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment, our latest product, which is Huawei PowerPod 3.0, and also our smart fan wall is right there in front of us, the first choice of the large data center. Thank you for 4 of our gentlemen. Shall we move to the side of our products, move to a little bit of the center of the stage and catch a group photo all together? All right, so amazing. Let's facing the front. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for unveiling the red curtain for our latest product to all of our audience for today. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for paying attention to our Huawei cutting-edge technology. And also, it gives you the GSSR, like our Mr. Lee just mentioned. It's green, and also it's safe, and also it can save you a lot of energy, as well as it is with higher efficiency and also high reliability. So let's move on and hear some more from our partners. Coming next, we are going to welcome EP Korea CTO, Mr. Park Song Kim, to introduce us the partner with Huawei, win-win in Korea data center market. Without further ado, let's please welcome. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Song Bak from Korea. I'm working in a Korea company in the name of EP Korea, the member of Huawei Korea Partners. I'd like to thank again my wonderful partner Huawei and the today's attending Asia Pacific members. I'd like to talk about today our sales stories and the Korea data center status also. I'm just allowed 15 minutes, but a little late because I'll try to a little hurry. That's why I keep my presentation time. Please little pay attention. Today, I talk about Korea data center status, players, and the cloud IT infrastructures, and the market size outlooks and the issue goals. And the secondly, I really share with you our sales market story in Korea data center about our batteries, UPS, POD system, and lastly, I'll talk about with share our sales goals. Let me show some number. Since 2000, in Korea data center just have 53 data center. Now in Richie, today, 156 modern data center now in Korea. Let me show you the number, 88 private data center we have now. In the 88, 44 private data center we have, other 44 financial is IT companies for their own services. Look at this left side. If you first time, 2010, we just have 21 data center we have. Now we almost 40 data center about commercial data center in Korea. After 5 years later, we expected to the more than 74 commercial data center maybe we have. Let's talk about next page. Okay, as you know, Korea is a Seoul is a Korean metropolitan area. Gyeonggi also beside of Seoul, and Busan is the second city in Korea. Chuncheon is a little far, but now Korea data center player is KT, LG, SK Innovation, the secondary LG U+, SK CNC, LG CNS, also the other players we have. The other side is global player also. Actis, SK Telecom, STT, Digital Edge, DCI, SGeos, and the stock, Onasia, and etc. But little got a problem. They all data center, even though our local data center player also, they want to be a maker so located in metropolitan area. It's a little issue in our countries. Okay, let's look at cloud IT infrastructure side. According to the IDC report, the IT infrastructure market is expected to grow annually more than 50% over the next 5 years. The market size also, we are looking forward to $2 trillion in the sales market. Talk about a little later more. Now, this number is the Korea data center market size outlooks. Now, already said our commercial data center is 40. After 5 years later, we got a little more than 34 commercial data center we have. And the little problem is the electric capacity. After 5 years later, we need more 1,300 megawatt, little more. It's a little issue now in Korea. And now I'll talk about data center issues in Korea according to some Electric Times report as of June 2022. As you know, here is the Korea data center metropolitan area. It's the Seoul is over there. So now almost 60% data centers are concentrated in the metropolitan area. Even though power capacity also almost 70% concentrated in the metropolitan areas. Now, in Korea, a lot of feasibility studies are still going on, but more than 400 cases, they want a requirement of electric supply to metropolitan area also. That is a big problem now, because Korea government can refuse power supply for national power supply quality control. Also, data center companies considering employing living and children education. That's why they want to be some located in the metropolitan areas. That's why Korea data center got a lot of goals, just like your country and worldwide. As you know, we have to reach renewable energy 100% also, saving our power and saving water, even the waste management we know. Also, we use, just like your country, you use index such as CUE, PUE, WE, REF also. Now, in Korea, government gives some benefit or some benefit. If I register some coal, well, they give us a lot of benefit also. Sorry. Now, I'm talking about my market sales stories. As you know, maybe several months ago, Korea some data center due to some got some fire. The data center needed some more low risk, even though they don't want to come out with oxygen. This data center want to make some low risk. Oxygen don't come out. Now, in this situation, Korea, every data center want to make looking for a good solution for lithium-ion batteries. Because my batteries are excellent high rate charge and discharge, even the battery information available from the front of disk, as you know. And especially power distinguished module is installed in a rack. As you know, we have also UL certification also, AI monitoring also. Because it's a good product for us. We're selling soon and little more. We already installed something in our data center in Korea. Secondly, I'll talk about a little more our UPS system. As you know, KT Telecom. KT Telecom meaning is the #1 data center company in Korea. The KT uses a lot of data center now in our UPS system. KT meaning is the #1. The #1 meaning is if they use our system, the other data center player, they can easily use without any concern. Because KT is the #1, the other makers, I think the data center market is following market. Because somebody uses a good product, the other data center players also, they want to use the same product. Because KT is a good reference to us. This meaning is a little bit important to us. It's not easy. But if I provided this UPS system to KT, it's a little difficult. We provide some papers or some certification also. We have to pass through the pre-test, even though during 8 months. And the secondary, I'll talk about KT company IDs. SK company IDs. SK company is the #1 mobile company in Korea. They gotta use the other battery because they got their own battery. But the battery got a little problem on their data center. Now they use our UPS system also because they want some best delivery and country quality verification by pre-pass test. And I'll little talk about my power POD system because, as you know, POD system got a small printer, just 40%, and just the delivery time is 2 weeks, and we got a 150-point temperature sensors, and even though we got a big efficiency smart eco user smart eco module efficiency is 9.8%. If you got one modularization, it's Power POD is a good product to us. Finally, I want to talk about with you our sales goals. If I usually I'm involved with some sales market, I usually think about make a success for our customers because I think sincerely move usually my customers. Usually I'm trying to involve consulting and preparing specification also, compete with the other top brand because we are ready. And usually I try to the technical evaluation also because we got a lot of function and a good efficiency also. Finally, I'll talk about my last goals. Usually I got some pride over some Huawei royalty and the Huawei pride. I'll be make a #1 provider in Korea with a Huawei. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Park, for your introduction. Thank you so much for telling us the market trend and also the situation in Korea. And we believe that together with Huawei, we can go far and beyond the customers' needs and wants in Korea as well. So coming next, we would like to welcome Mr. Jimmy Yu, Senior Vice President of International Business from GDS, to share with us hyperscale data center global development trend, scale, speed, and sustainability. Let's please welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jimmy. I came from a company called GDS. It's my honor to be here today. Huawei is a long-term partner with us in China, and we hope, I look after international business. We hope our partnership can expanding into the international markets. Just quickly on to, for people in China, they might know who GDS is. For people today with the more APAC markets. A quick introduction about who we are. We've been in the data center industry for roughly 22, 23 years. We start the business in 2021. Our very first data center is actually in Shenzhen. And then we grow from the different trends of the internet and cloud service provider and technology and content grows in China. As of now, we have roughly around 100 data center, which is in operation and in construction within China, including Hong Kong. And we are also expanding into our international platforms, which I will expand a bit later. And in terms of power capacity, we operate roughly around 1.3 gigawatts of IT loads in China. And we have another 1 gigawatt of capacity, which is in stock that we are expanding, we can expanding into in China in the next few years. Then this is our major kind of focus and footprints. So what we've been doing is we are focusing on the tier 1 market, which is the major metropolis. When you look at the global data center, you will see that the trend is always when you go into a major economic hubs, which you have the scale, you have the population, and you have the demand to grow your data center, your digital footprint. So we start our business in Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, these tier 1 cities, right? And then with the development grows, and when you see the clouds and you see the internet business grows, you need a larger scale, what we call now hyperscalers. So they need much larger power capacity, much larger space, and the scale for continue expanding. Then we start building this called core city and edge of town kind of concept. So if you see here that we have like Shanghai and Shanghai surrounding and Beijing and Beijing surrounding Langfang, Hebei province. Then Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Hong Kong, we call it Greater Bay, which is also Greater Bay is getting constrained, so we're reaching out to further remote areas into Guangdong province. And then just to speak a bit about our international footprint. We start our international business roughly around 2 years ago, and our founder, which is also a good friend with Huawei, always telling us that when a Chinese company want to go global, right, and we want to do our international business, we should look at Huawei and how the ways they've been grow into markets and develop, building the ecosystem and building the partnership and working with the customers, right? So we have started our footprint in Southeast Asia, which is very much first step for a lot of our Chinese customers. When they go global, Singapore, Southeast Asia usually will be the first step, right? And just a bit of background, Singapore, some of the guests might know, Singapore since 2019 start a data center moratorium, which has stopped any new data center approval. And even since now, until now, there is no new data center being approved. They have announced a program called CFA, which is allow for 60 megawatt to be built in Singapore, but the result has not yet been awarded. So the demand continue gathering into Singapore, and then we are working in a similar way of our China kind of strategy is the core city and edge of town. So we call it tier 1, tier 2, or core city, edge of town design, which we built larger campus in Johor, which is a province in Malaysia, next, very close to Singapore, a bit like Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Like you can drive from Singapore and down to Malaysia. And then there's another island called Batam, which is in Indonesia, is also 30 kilometers south of Singapore. You can take the ferry, 40 minutes, you can get to that island, right? We're building, we call it SJB. You will see a lot of acronyms like Singapore Plus, SJB, or Sejuri, which is essentially just Singapore, Johor, and Batam. This is the kind of platforms we are developing into solving the demand. So we are building a 100 megawatt campus in Johor, and this 100 megawatt is actually going to deliver a crossing this year and next year. And I'll touch a bit on how we can do that in a speed and also the way that we're doing. It's very similar like what Huawei, the entire your solution is about. You go the smart way, you go the speed, and you have the scalabilities. So that's what we do since 2 years ago. And quickly onto a global map, and this is a coverage we can help our Chinese customer or any customers to go, if they want to go global, that they can using our platform and our partners platform. Partner is always the key, right? So those red, they are GDS data center, 98 in China, 5 in Hong Kong. We are building 5 in Malaysia and 2 in Indonesia. These are GDS data center. Those light red These are our major investors, which is ST Telemedia GDC. It's a Temasek-owned company, invest in GDS in early days. So they have a larger presence in Southeast Asia, including Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand. They even have a site in Korea. And also they acquired Tata, so they have larger presence in India. And they also acquired Vertus, which is one of the largest operator in London. And then the blue one, they are coming from one of our major investors called CyrusOne. They are a major US data center provider and only second to probably Equinix and DigitalRoyalty, the third largest data center company in US. So they have presence in US and Europe. They also invest into OData, which is a major data center provider in Brazil. Then last is the Japan, which we have our early investor called SoftBank. They, when they invest Alibaba, they are actually around the same time they invest into GDS. And they have their own portfolio company called IDC Frontier, which has a larger presence in Japan. So we, in 2020 and 2021, we are quite proud to say that we are the first data center operator and developer in China to release our ESG goal. This is very relevant and very important to everyone in this industry that we know we have to be responsible for, and we have all the environmental targets and goals we need to achieve, right? Look at what all the major cities in the world, like say Singapore, if you look at Frankfurt, if you look at Amsterdam, all these major markets, right, is now having all this policy and regulations to say you have to achieve a renewable goal until we can allow you to continue expanding or building data centers, right? So there's a ways for us to looking into. Obviously, renewable is a big way. There is few speakers are already talking about the energy portion, how we acquire renewables, how we through our design and build and operation to using the different technologies and help us to better achieve the efficiency and also achieving those goals, right? So we announced a 100% renewable goal by 2030, which is going to be just 7.5 years away, right? So it's quite, and that's across the board, which is not only the data centers in China, but also the data centers in global markets we are developing. So as of now, across around the 1.3 gigawatt of data center we operate and develop in China, around 35 to 36% of those are already renewables by different means. We have different power purchase, we have direct PPAs, we have IRAC, we have projects working on new innovations. So our goal is very much aligned with everyone here that we want to achieve by 2030 that it's 100% renewable and carbon neutrality. So this is something we are all targeted on. And this is very similar to what Huawei just presented about how you achieve the smart speed sustainability and continue grow your data center in this industry. So we have developed our own product and also solutions to be able to meeting our customers' demand, right? So in our data center in Malaysia, which is we are currently doing in Johor, it's a fully modular type of data center we are building, and from the groundbreaking last year April, we are able to deliver the data center by next month, which is June. Or end to end, it's roughly around 14 to 15 months for a 4-story building with fully equipped prefab modular type installation from groundbreaking to actually RFS. We are doing the testing and commissioning as of now. So that's just how the speed is, and we been working very closely with a lot of our China partners, and we are able to using the China logistic to be able to helping the speed. I remember the Huawei speaker just mentioned about the space is absolutely right? So we are able to save the space by using the modular, and you don't want to build a data center but not filling it, right? So these are all the considerations we have. And for different type of module, right? And we are working on a way that which can be suitable for different products. Hyperscaler is our core business, so we do larger deployments. Our campus usually ranging from 50 to 100 to 200 megawatt larger campus. So we do that in a larger scale. But we also have edge deployments, which is like 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt, that kind of deployments, what we can do in a quicker way that using the prefab technologies. And this can also help to reducing the carbon for a lot of manufacturers or on-site installations you need to occur. So in Singapore, Professor Lee will probably know, in Singapore there is a very standard EMA terms for you to capture your carbon emission from the design, from the construction, from the operation. There is guidance you have to follow. So every step of the way is a small step towards to the goal you have to achieve on the ESG. And we as an overall developer, so we're working with partners like Huawei to achieve that goal together. So this is our overall technology. And I have a last slide which I will share a bit on how to achieve. So we have a 2030 ESG goal, right? And how we can achieve that, right? There's going to be a combination of doing renewable and from design, build, and operation, and also working on new renewable projects, right? I will be joining a panel later on, and I will share a bit of more on the sustainability part. But what we experienced is that for anyone who want to do a data center business in any of the markets, working on a sustainability way, setting that strategy and target will be probably job number one, right? And so this is something that you have to looking at, because we know power will be constrained. All the utility, the electricity, the water, will getting more and more expensive. Look at the overall energy market, the energy sectors, right? The way to resolve that is actually, the smart way to resolve that is actually through the renewable markets. So one example is in the markets we operate in Malaysia, we've been pushing the government about the renewable, and the government actually listened to the sectors, and they announced the virtual PPA for the first time. It's a nationwide VPPA structure, which they allowed 800 megawatt of total solar project. There were awards to different sectors, and each project they will be given awards for 30 megawatt, so they can encourage more segments, not just one state-owned company or one power bureau doing it all. They encourage a lot more private sectors, foreign investments going into the solar development project. And Huawei is doing very well in Malaysia. I've been in contact with a lot of Malaysia Huawei teams, especially in the solar part. So government will lead that, and then it will need an industry like us. My customer are pushing for the renewable as well, and I've been pushing my partners, which is in, could be Power Bureau or could be solar developers, to helping us together to do these ecosystems, right? So in this way is you have a baseline you need to achieve. Say you are doing a 100 megawatt data center, you have a baseline to achieve, right? What we did is like, if you can get a PPA, then the PPA is 30 megawatt. So you can get a 30 megawatt PPA, which you can get that. And what we also do is in a smaller scale, you can work on solar farms on roof on top. That will probably resolve maybe 1 or 2% of your powers, not too much. But then you will also need to actively working on projects. See, either it's a rack that it's a traceable IRAC, that it can be traced on what kind of project it will lead you to producing those renewables. And then as a whole, and then you work on your efficiency, right? Reduce your PUE so you can reduce your footprints and working on efficiency. Then overall, you have a roadmap to achieve that. So for all of our projects, when we start our project planning, every step of the way in the next 7-10 years, we were looking into a way that how we can achieve the 100% renewable. And that will requires, together with partner, together with government support, and together with our own initiatives to do that all together. And yeah, so due to the time, this is all I'm sharing, but I will be here the afternoon, and if anyone have any questions, you feel free can ask. That's all I want to share today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy Yu. Thank you for your introduction about the GDS. And we can clearly see that GDS has made a lot of great efforts and great achievements all along the way. And thank you for taking sustainability into the consideration all along. So coming next, we would like to welcome Mr. Tim Chen, Managing Director of SGO China, Singtel Enterprise Business, to introduce us Singtel Regional Hyper-Connected and Green Data Center Platform. So without further ado, welcome. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Big honor to be here. Okay. Today I'm to share with you Singtel Regional Hyper-Connected and Green Data Center Platform. As a start, just to take a look at the market research. This is published by Forvis and Sullivan in 2020. Regarding the DC market in ASEAN, as you can see, the CAGR is forecasted as 18% year on year from 2020 to 2025. Okay, and by 2025, the market, the DC market size will be around $6 billion at that time. And 4 countries, including Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia, will take up around 90% for this ASEAN DC market. Based on our analysis, we figure out the demands, the increasing demands are coming from the young generation and the new population. They are the heavy data users and the digital transformation by enterprises customers. Also, the largely increasing big data use cases and also the AI usage cases will also drive the demand. In addition, 5G, due to the enterprise cloud adoption and 5G MEC implementation, this will also drive the demands for DC. Our mission is to be the leading green and most sustainable DC service provider with the best interconnectivity in the Southeast Asia region. Okay, here are 5 countries. Okay, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. We have the DCs in these 4 countries, and we are evaluating the partners to have DC in Vietnam. Okay, start with our credibility in Singapore. We are able to influence our partners in these countries. So Singtel will be the operating partner for our regional DCs in terms of design, build, and operate. Okay, and Singapore is the regional hub, not only for Singapore, but for Singapore Plus, also the ASEAN market. Okay, we are developing the lowest PUE. Okay, So not only in Singapore, also across the region. Here is some highlights of our Singtel RDC. Okay, in Singapore, our market share is around 12%. Okay, we have more than 25 years experience in data center. As you can see, regarding Singapore, currently our portfolio is two major DC, KC2 and DC West, together around 60 megawatt capacity, and there are more 100 megawatt pipeline is on the way. So sooner we will have 150 above DC capacity in Singapore. And for our RDC in Malaysia, in Thailand, and Indonesia, we target to have combined capacity for more than 300 megawatt. Okay, so we will be the leading DC service provider in Southeast Asia. If you are familiar with Singapore, okay, this is the Singapore map, okay? And as mentioned, currently there are 7 DCs in operation, which are Telepark, Bedok, Kim Chuan 1, Kang Center 3, and also Ang Mo Kio, okay? And in the east, this is KC2 with 20 megawatt IT power, okay? In the west, this is our mega DC core, DC West, with 40 megawatt. And also, this is in the blue frame, this is our DC TWAS. It's a new building DC, okay? Target to have more than 50 megawatt IT power and 1.3 PUE. Just 10 note, DC TWAS is not only a DC. DC TWAS is also a cable station, okay? With the capability as a cable station, actually we can provide the seamless connectivity to our users in this DC. We can measure all the network performance and also the DC efficiency. Okay. For Singtel DCs in Singapore, in the bottom, these are our generation 1 DCs, okay? And the Kim Chuan 2 is our generation 2 DC with 20 megawatt IT power and 1.6 PUE. And DC West was built and launched about 4 years ago. This one, we have 41 megawatt IT power and 1.4 PUE. And for the building DC TWAS, we target to have 50 megawatt and also the lowest PUE, which is 1.3, okay? There are 3 levers for our regional green DCs. The infrastructure and technology, operation and maintenance, also to use of renewable energy. Here are the 3 key building blocks of sustainable DC, okay? In terms of design, we use the green roof and recyclable materials to achieve a low carbon footprint and also emissions. In terms of infrastructure and technology, we adopt the high energy and water efficiency technology and equipment such as chiller and liquid cooling. In terms of operation, we will leverage on AI, machine learning, and also IoT technology to monitor and operate the DC to reduce the waste and also to maximize the efficiency. It's critical to track cooling technology because as the previous speaker mentioned, the cooling will take up around 30% above of the total DC power consumption. So today, we are able to support 12 kW per rack or 15 kW per rack, which is using the rear door cooling, fan walls, and inter-rack cooling. Okay? Moving forward, the customer is requesting high rack density, and so we are to implement the chip cooling so as to support up to 25 kW per rack, and also immersion cooling so as to support the 50 kW per rack requirement. And the most interesting thing is, and exciting thing is, actually the customer can switch to the new liquid cooling. When they want, they can do it directly, change it in our Singtel DCs. Okay, this is my last slide, okay? Our Singtel RDC is an open platform, okay? We welcome the green partners to come on board. We also adopt the green solutions like high energy and AI optimized solution. And from Singapore, we are extending our platform to Thailand, to Indonesia, to Malaysia, and also in the region, okay? We commit to bring the best green technology together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tim Chen, for your introduction about the practice from Singtel. Exactly, it is open platform and also open for further cooperation with all the partners. So coming next, we would like to welcome Senior Strategy Planning Manager from Huawei Cloud, Mr. Erman Zhu, to introduce us the best practice of Huawei Cloud data center construction. Let's please welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear distinguished guests and partners. My name is Herman. Actually, Herman is an Indonesian name. Before I worked in Indonesia around 6 years already. So last year I come back to come to HQ. So today it's my honor to be here to share the Huawei Cloud data center construction experience. So my topic today is best practice of the Huawei Cloud data center construction. Nowadays, actually, AI moment is coming. According to the ITC report, you can see the computing power on the live network CAGR is around 31%. And also, data volume generated CAGR is 36%. And from the 2020 to 2030, the AI computing will increase around 500 times. And also, for the general computing, it will increase around 10 times. So, huge data and also AI computing power coming. So what we should do? We need to build more data centers, right? And also build a more high density data center. So when we build a data center, what we should key consideration for the data centers? There are 4 essential factors. First, carbon neutrality. Second, business agility. Third, operation and maintenance efficiency. Fourth, service availability. This is what we need to consider. So let's talk about the Huawei Cloud. Actually, Huawei released Huawei Cloud brand in 2017 through infrastructure as a service, technology as a service, and also expertise as a service Huawei Cloud provides everything as a service to deliver reliable, secure, and also trustworthy, sustainable cloud service to our customers, partners, and also developers. According to the Gartner report, actually, Huawei Cloud ICE market share ranking number 5 globally, and also number 2 in China. In 2022, Huawei Cloud revenue achieved around $6.56 billion US dollars. So far, Huawei Cloud has launched 240 cloud service, and also it attracts more than 4 billion developers and also 41,000 partners. In addition, we already served more than 800 e-government clouds customers and also more than 300 financial customers. In addition, there are top 19% of the top 30 automakers in China and also 19% of top 50 e-commercial companies. This is our cases. Now, let's watch the next video to see how we help the customers.
Go unlock possibilities with Huawei Cloud. Go explore. Infuse intelligence into massive data to spot gene defects. Turn the cloud into the new platform for quantum computing. Go advance. Boost data access at the frontiers of smart manufacturing. Rapidly respond to flight schedule changes for a more efficient airport. Compute mountains of data for precise weather forecast. Go innovate. AI-powered ports make logistics faster and safer. Make real-time inspection a reality for power grids. Boost the city traffic brain for smoother lanes. Monitor waterlogging and sewage for a cleaner, greener city. Go discover. Render futuristic views on the cloud at speeds previously unimagined. Generate disaster pre-warnings underground to safeguard miners. Watch over our Earth by tracking geological and hydrological changes. Go protect. Digitally preserve relics of our civilization for generations to come. Monitor the rainforest and its inhabitants for Mother Nature to flourish. Restore ecosystems and give the desert back its trees with intelligent robots. Go unlock possibilities.
So Huawei Cloud, we put everything as a service. Just now we showed the video showed we help different industry customers. Actually, to support the cloud business development, the traditional data center cannot meet the demands anymore. We must consider to upgrade the traditional data center to cloud data center. Here, some information from about the traditional data center. First one, high energy consumption, normally maybe 2.0 PUE, and also low efficiency. Sometimes maybe CPU usage 5%, maybe 10%, like this. And also it's difficult to expand. Let's talk about a cloud data center. In Huawei experiments, actually we can do the cloud center, the data center around the PUE 1.12. And also the CPU usage more than 40%. And also it is easy to expand and build a new data center. So with a high reliability, multiple security, and also data security, we hope to enable public cloud to have the security and the reliability as same as the private cloud. Here, I show the key considerations of the factors of Huawei Cloud Data Center. The first one is powerful architecture cores. This is our cloud data center architecture. The second one is global deployment, because Huawei is a global company. We need to serve the global customers. The third, sustainable deployment, and also high reliability, extraordinary experiments, and also cost efficiency. If we talk about cost efficiency, because you know that cloud business is a heavy capital business, right? Reduce cost means improve the profit. This is our architecture about the cool words. We call that a global one network. So there are 3 layers you can see: Cloud Ocean, Cloud Sea, and Cloud Lake. Cloud Ocean is global center. Currently, we already deployed in Ireland, Singapore, Hong Kong, Guian, Ulanqab, and Wuhu. This is our global center. The second, Cloud Sea. Currently, we already deployed in Thailand, Indonesia, and Philippines is ongoing. I will launch this year also. And the third, Cloud Edge. Actually, this one is, we will deploy it on the customer side or edge side. So with such kind of the powerful architecture, we would like to build the 15 latency cycle for the customer. We need to serve the customer better. This is our architecture about the cool words. Next, not only the architecture, we also build the different kind of the security level zones to the different kind of customers, because every different industry maybe have this different security requirement. So there are 4 types of the security zones: S1, S2, S3, and S4. Actually, S1 is like public resource pool, and also most of the users will access such kind of the resource. And S2 is industry specified pool, S3 user specified pool, and also S4 is user specified pool plus physical hosting. This is different kind of the security rules to match the different requirements. So about the Huawei Cloud Data Center, we also have the 4 cloud infrastructure objectives. The first, faster delivery. The second, high reliability. 0 power drop, 0 high temperature, and also 0 fire accident. The third, intelligent and maintenance, high efficiency operation. So based on these objectives, we also have the relevant solutions. First, we put the product-based design plus standard of the process delivery, because before we need to install different kind of the function components. Now we build this solution as one standard product. And the second, we also use a standard architecture. For example, like a power supply, we will use a standard 2N power supply architecture. And also, for the cooling part, we will use the air-cooled distributed EHU to replace the central chiller water solution. And also the maintenance part, we will use a full link virtualization and also preventive maintenance to reduce the maintenance cost and also improve the human resource efficiency. This is how we handle the challenges for the data center. Last, not only the method of the design and the construction, but we also enhance the hardware and the software collaboration to build the leading data center. Left side, you can see we have the full stack capability from the data center facilities and also IT equipment and the cloud service part. Right side, we have a different kind of the innovation from the data center automatic maintenance and the standard modular delivery, distributed cloud OS. This is the key of the cloud because operating system is just like a brain, right? It will control the different kind of the service and also manage the hardware part. On top of that, we will use software acceleration to improve the performance. Last, I would like to share a video about the Huawei latest data center, Guian data center. Please watch your video.
We are always exploring how nature and technology can live together in harmony. Huawei Cloud has deployed a new data center in Guiyang that is efficient, secure, and green. It runs up to 1 million servers, powering a global network, serving customers and partners around the world. Here, we use wind to directly cool the equipment rooms. Natural cool air from outside enters as hot air leaves. With liquid cooling and AI technologies, cooling efficiency has been improved by 5% to 8%, and the power usage effectiveness can get as low as 1.12. The cooling system used in the data center dissipates some of the heat through a nearby waterfall and the surrounding lakes, and recycles the rest for heating in winter. Huawei Cloud is devoted to a greener future.
Guiyang Data Center is our newest cloud data center. I also warmly invite everyone here to visit our cloud data center. That's a very amazing place. So finally, I would like to wish everyone have a nice trip in China. Please enjoy here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Erman Zhu. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you for your introduction about our Huawei Cloud. It's easily that we can draw a conclusion that with Huawei Cloud, we can unlock more possibilities while we can also embrace more opportunities. So coming next, we would like to welcome Expert Product Manager from Tencent, Mr. Chris Wu, to introduce us the sustainability of Tencent data center practice, carbon neutrality in the technology. So without further ado, please welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your attention. I'm Chris who come from Tencent CSIG. First, thanks Huawei provide this chance let me to do this presentation. Now, let me share some information about the sustainability of Tencent data center. Practice carbon neutrality in technology. Tencent Cloud International operates 70 available rooms across 26 regions globally. Provide strong technology and service for enterprise to help the rapid expansion and business. Data center infrastructure node all over the world. By the end of 2022, Tencent has deployed more than 1 million servers that provide users with faster, stable, intelligent, and reliable service. Such a large data center requires huge energy to ensure the stable and reliable operation. This makes the data center face great challenges in current carbon neutral field. At the start of 2021, we announced the creation of our carbon neutrality plan. Tencent plans to achieve carbon neutrality in its own operations and supply chain, and use the green power for 100% of all electricity consumed by 2030. Tencent follows the principle of prioritizing emission reduction and green power supplemented by carbon offsetting to achieve carbon neutrality. First of all, we control and reduce carbon emissions through the energy conservation and efficiency improvement, and reduce the energy consumption per unit out of the value, thereby improve the resourcing efficiency. Secondly, we greatly increase the ratio of renewable energy we use, especially in our electricity consumption. We actively participate in renewable power trading. Finally, we will use the carbon offsets as a supplementary method based on the actual needs, and eventually achieve carbon neutrality. Tencent makes use innovation technology to build a green data center as a part of its commitment to corporate responsibility in protecting the environment. In the data center site selection, Tencent preferentially builds data centers in the region where the green power is used. For example, region is rich in hydro, wind, and other clean energy resources. In addition, the climate of the site is also a key consideration. Maximize to use the outdoor free cooling to reduce the energy consumption of the data center. Tencent built a large scale of data center facilities with independent buildings. Each campus has a roof area of about 100,000 square meters in total. Those areas could deploy the rooftop photovoltaic system with 8 megawatt to 30 megawatt. Over the last decade, Tencent remained committed to green movement by improving energy utilization efficiency of data center. Tencent data centers progressed from January 1st to the January 4th technology. And the PUE evolved from 1.8 to 1.2. That overall energy consumption has been cut by more than 50%, which equals to a decrease of 300,000 tons in carbon emissions per year. During the construction process, we have de-engineered the data center through the largest range of productization and standardization, minimize the solid waste. Tencent is actively practicing new technologies such as the heat recycle technology, CCHP, combined cooling, heating, and power technology, and so on, to improve the overall energy efficiency of the data center and reduce the carbon emissions. Tencent fourth generation data center technology, T-Block, can achieve rapid delivery of the data center in a standardized, productized, and prefabricated. T-Block shortens the civil construction time by 50% and reduces the MEP delivery time by 40%. That means a facility can be complete within 1 year. The energy saving model integrates various energy saving technologies. Power model, IT model, and the cooling model are all packaged into containers to achieve actual energy consumption. The PUE is below 1.3. For example, compared with traditional data center, a campus with 300,000 servers, the T-Block data center can save about 250 gigawatt hours of electricity a year. Tencent has deployed T-Xunqi HU, redesigned the control logic, and improved the intelligence of the unit. The unit can be can perform the dynamic modem switching according to the IT load and the outdoor environment to improve the energy efficiency. Tencent and ensure the cooling capacity of the unit. The dynamic cooling capacity distributed technology is adopted to adjust the cooling capacity of the compressor and the heat exchange core working in mixed model to achieve the best energy efficiency. At the same time, the group control logic is optimized to realize the dynamic matching between the cooling unit and the IT load so as to achieve on-demand cooling. Tencent has deployed a new solution for the power supply system T-Chun, which integrates the medium voltage input phase shifting transformer, DC switchboard, AC switchboard, and it realized the full prefabrication from medium voltage to low voltage, AC to DC, greatly improve the efficiency of the power system. The efficiency of the power system can be as high as 97.5%. At the same time, the footprint is greatly reduced. Compared with the traditional power distributed system, the footprint can save about 40%. Tencent has combined proprietary technology and various operation scenarios to create the data center intelligent management platform. The platform manages hundreds of Tencent's data centers around the world, accessing data from more than 15 million points. And the platform applies automatic management, monitoring, and analysis. It could provide intelligent recommendation to make the data center more efficient. Tencent DCM platform continues to play an important role in our carbon neutrality efforts through the functional include carbon emissions inspection, loading forecasting, AI cooling optimization, AI forecasting for equipment healthy, analysis of the renewable energy utilization. The platform can actually obtain energy data from real time, and it carry out refined clarification, statistic, and scientific modeling. Combined with big data and AI, it can provide the most economy, energy, and emissions reduction solution to assist the operations decisions. Tencent Data Center obtain renewable energy through the two main channels, market-based power procurement and actively deploy distributed energy. In 2021, Tencent set up a formal sustainable energy working group, formulate the strategy and the method for green power trading, and explore the feasibility of various transactions. We plan to avoid the risk of the market by stabilizing purchase through long-term contracts that locked in green power projects. In 2022 trading market, we have signed a renewable energy trading contract for a total of 500 gigawatts that enable us to achieve renewable energy utilization rate in several campuses over 50%. Among of them, Qingcheng Data Center in Guangdong uses renewable energy for 100%. In 2020, Tencent officially launched the development and the construction of distributed rooftop photovoltaic system in our data center. Due to reliable and safety issues, data center poses more challenges compared with those at industrial and commercial enterprises. Tencent explored a new green and low carbon model for data center. The data center adopts distributed microgrid architecture, which combined with wind energy, photovoltaics, the energy store, realize the grid-connected operation with the utility power. As of now, the distributed new energy projects in our data center have been built, are under construction, exceed 80 megawatt, and it is expected that a new power generation of after complete will exceed 8 gigawatt hour, which can efficiently reduce the energy cost and continue to increase the utilization rate of the renewable energy in the data center. Now, let's see some of the cases. Tencent Qingxin Data Center campus has launched the 6.6 megawatt distributed PV system in September 2021, a new generating more than the 7.5 gigawatt. We have also launched the 30 megawatt distributed PV system of Yizheng Data Center in February 2022, a new generation more than the 15 gigawatt hour. This month, we will launch the new distributed PV system in 14 megawatt in Guangdong Qingcheng campus. We are also exploring 30 megawatt integrated wind and PV system in Hualai campus. Tencent Tianjin Data Center recovered the waste heat generated by servers and reuse it to heat the office building in winter. We have applied CCHP technology in Qingpu Data Center in Shanghai, hot water and gas produced by generator, and those gas and hot water introduced into evaporative cooling equipment to produce the chilled water, and then the chilled water cooling the data center. In winter, the hot water can also heat the surrounding building around the site. The primary energy utilization rate is greatly improved, and the energy gradient utilization is achieved. We are seeking better model for renewable energy utilization, working hard to achieve the goal of low carbon transformation, to take responsibility for the efficient and sustainable development, to practice carbon neutrality in technology. Tencent has been on the way. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris Wu. Thank you so much for your introduction about the 3 action practice from Tencent, and also show us some of its main data center right here in China. So last but not least, we would like to welcome Regional Director of R&D Engineering, Mr. Jeremy Tan, to introduce technology trends of the next generation data center. Let's please welcome Mr. Jeremy. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. It's a long day. I'm the last speaker, so don't worry. Just before I get too much into the trends, I just want to put some numbers up, and so we understand why we're here. The big numbers, hyperscale revenue as a region in 2022, we're looking at billions and billions of dollars. In Southeast Asia alone, we're looking at almost $9 billion. And what do these mean? What do these numbers mean? These numbers mean there's a lot of attention in the industry and there's a lot of interest in the industry. I'm going to drop some numbers on the page now, and as a singular point, they don't mean a lot. 2% of data centers are responsible for the local global power. Roughly 20% of the world's global electricity will be consumed by the IT industry by 2025. $121 billion worth of value. 200 terawatt hours of power consumed annually. 192 million tons of CO2 produced by the industry. 61% growth in data demand annually, year on year. And the internet consuming roughly 3.6 to 6.2% of our global energy consumption. So what do these numbers mean as a whole? I've got 3 children, and I often ask them, what do you want to do when you grow up? And God bless the millennium generation. They all love the environment, they all love the internet. Sort of counterproductive. So my answer to them is, if you want to make the biggest difference in the world, join us, design data centers. Make a 1% difference on a 6% demand, and that's your life story. Moving into trends. So there's a lot of information on the slides here, but what we're trying to say here is generally rack densities have gone up in the last 20 years, roughly 4 kilowatts a rack, moving up to 8 to 15 kilowatts a rack on the current designs. Again, this is standard ASI design, not yet on liquid cooling. Temperatures have gone up slightly. Again, traditionally 18 degrees, 20 degrees, now moving up to 26, 27 degrees with ASHA recommended. In some instances, we have some clients designing at 32 degrees, supplier temperatures, 35 degrees, in one instance, supplier temperatures. So we are pushing the envelope on reducing compressor lift. Cooling system designs, again, moving away from the traditional raised floor systems without containment towards containment systems in the 2010s. Containment systems are almost generic and standard now on the current designs. PUEs, the measurement of data center effectiveness. So PUEs were introduced back in the 2000s. When they were first introduced, again, in the warmer climates, 2 to 2.5, moving down to 1.6 10 years ago. Current market, roughly 1.3, pushing the point. Again, PUEs are relative metric. I believe everyone should be aware. A PUE is only as good as your environment. So a 1.3 in Finland is not as good as a 1.3 in Jakarta, for example. Water usage, again, 20 years ago, no one cared. Now we do. WE is a real metric that feeds into everyone's ESG initiatives. And resilience design. So again, uptime as an institute was introduced 20 plus years ago, starting to push the point on concurrent maintainability and fault tolerance, slowly becoming normal in the 2010s. Current designs, every single design is concurrently maintainable. Maybe not tier 3, maybe not rated 3, but the base requirement from all of our clients is concurrently maintainable systems. And then cloud computing. Again, 20 years ago, not so much of an industry, slowly picking up trends, currently one of the biggest dominating markets in the data center industry. So what have we achieved as a whole for the industry? PUEs, again, I'm touching on that again, have come down significantly, down to 1.2, and I'd say 1.2 relative, 1.2 being in Southeast Asia, being quite a high achievement. We have one design in the region pushing below 1.2 with very extreme design parameters. Minimization of waste, of cooling wastage. Containment systems, again, now being the standard for everyone. New cooling designs to allow higher supplier temperatures and higher chill water temperatures. So what's our largest energy consumer in the data center? Everyone's aware, it's the mechanical system. What's driving it? The compressor of the mechanical system. How do we reduce compressor power, reduce compressor lift by bringing your supplier temperature as close as possible to your ambient environment? Again, just touching on a few other things, electrical system losses have been reduced significantly. Right now, again, we're pushing UPS systems up to 98% efficiency, pushing the envelope, and new battery technologies. And then lastly, understanding how your data center works. That's a lot bigger now. Implementing open API, central control monitoring systems to understand how your data center is operating as it is instantaneously to optimize the systems to minimize, again, cooling wastage and losses. What's happening in APAC as a whole? Government regulation in Southeast Asia, the Singapore government has now mandated a maximum 1.3 annualized PUE for any design being put forward as part of the CFA, which is currently being assessed. And what's interesting about that point is the other governments around the region are feeling that. And what we're getting as a consultant is a lot of our clients are coming to us now and saying, I want my data center in Philippines, in Indonesia, in Malaysia to have a maximum PUE of 1.3. And when we tell them it's difficult, they'll say that it can't be that hard because the Singapore government's mandated it. So the Singapore government's mandated it, it can happen. So government regulation plays a very big role in driving the industry as a whole. Infrastructure readiness, again, green power, the interest in green power is increasing significantly. PPAs, generally, so that's going to continue to grow, and there's a lot of interest in that space. Market supply, which is interesting. In the 2020, when COVID hit in 2020, 2021, 2022, a lot of DCs started construction. Not in Singapore, obviously because of the moratorium, but outside Singapore. And a lot of these data centers in the Southeast Asian region will hit RFS, some as lucky as this year, most 2024, some 2025. So what we're going to see is a huge onslaught of supply into the market. Is the market going to pick up that demand? No one can tell you, but colo clients aren't easy to get as a whole. Everyone understands that colo clients are elusive and require a lot of reliability on the reputation of the supplier. So will that market demand, will that market supply result in oversupply in the market? We'll see what happens in the next 2 years. And then future demand, where is IT demand going in the next 5, 10 years? Again, everyone's been saying this a couple of times with the onset of ChatGPT. That's only going to be exponential. The demand for high compute is not going anywhere soon, and I'm pretty sure it's going to stay around for a while. So just moving on to some high-level trends. Again, high-density cooling and liquid immersion cooling. What's holding us back as an industry? Generally, hydrophobia, operational complexity, and resiliency. These are the few things that we're seeing. A lot of our clients want to future-proof their current air-cooled data centers into possibly liquid cooling, water-cooled data centers. But a lot of them, they need to appreciate the structural loadings are completely different. The flow loadings are completely different. The water systems are completely different. The infrastructure and the power density of the substations feeding the sites are completely different. So if you do want to future-proof your data center for liquid cooling, a lot of the infrastructure has to be put in place on day one, which costs CapEx, which you will not get a return on today. So that needs to be appreciated. And liquid cooling is an interesting thing because we've done studies incorporating liquid cooling to our PUE calculation system across the globe. And what we found is, should have been obvious, honestly, when you look at liquid cooling systems, because our heat rejection temperatures are above 45, 50 degrees, the ambient doesn't matter anymore. So you could a liquid cooling system in Singapore, or in South Korea, or in Finland, you're going to get the same PUE, because your PUE is driven by your pumping losses and your electrical efficiencies, which is a good point. And what else do we have? Multi-fuel engines. This is good. So again, we often get asked the question, what can I do to decarbonize, reduce my carbon footprint today, not tomorrow, not in 5 years, not in 10 years. I want to do that today. What can I do today? As a direct replacement for your backup systems, a very viable solution is a replacement of your fuel systems with HVOs, for example. So I personally was in Indonesia last weekend witnessing a 3 MVA gen test on 100% HVO, ran perfectly. So it does work. HVO is a real drop-in fuel you can use today on your generators, as long as your generator capacity has been allowed for it. And the question is there a D rating in generator capacity? Yes, slightly, roughly 3 to 5%, depending on the engine, which means today, when we do design for it, we have to allow for a slightly larger capacity, 105% possibly, to allow for this D rating when we start to future-proof the systems and put and drop the HVO straight into the gens. But the message there is you can do that today, and it is on the market today. Fuel cells and hydrogen. Again, I was always going to go there. How real is hydrogen in today's environment? Not really. Is it viable today? No. Can you get green hydrogen today? Not yet. Is anyone willing to store large volumes of hydrogen on their site adjacent to the DC as a backup system? Possibly not. Not yet. do we have the distribution and pipeline systems and ammonium systems to distribute and supply hydrogen as a primary power source, possibly in development? I guess my point here is that it's coming, but it's not here today, but we have to be cognizant and aware of it and allow for our infrastructure or considerations to use it in the future. What else is there? Embodied carbon. I think we touched on this briefly. Embodied carbon for data centers is very different from an LCA or life cycle assessment embodied carbon for traditional commercial building. In data centers, due to the high amount of equipment, roughly 80% of a data center's embodied carbon is inside the equipment, in the MEP equipment. Mechanical, electrical, your generators, your UPS, your chillers. So it is something we need to consider today and not when we look at it later. And again, for those who aren't that familiar, embodied carbon looks at the raw life cycle and carbon footprint of your data center from its raw material creation to transport to installation to operation down to demolition and waste removal. And it needs to be looked at as a single cycle, which can be done with some embodied carbon calculators on the market today. I guess, and what's last, on my slides at least, is the integration of DCs in networks. This is my personal favorite. I think this is far horizon information, projections. What this is looking at is the effectively HAAS, high availability as a service, or high availability power and cooling as a service. And what this relies on is a grid network integrated with multiple sources of power, be it nuclear, coal, wind, hydro, power, all fed in the same network, feeding a data center with a 100% reliable supply system, allowing the data center to remove its backup systems. So this is where we want to reach. Imagine building a data center with no batteries, no gens. Taking away all that lazy capex you've spent on your system that's sitting there and tested every month, which costs money, but not actually doing anything. And it's just waiting for your grid to fall. So that's what we're trying to do. Take that away, allow the utility to provide high availability power as a service at possibly a higher rate with multiple source inputs to keep that reliability up and reduce the actual carbon footprint of the data center as a whole, not from a cost perspective, but from a footprint perspective, a carbon perspective. There's no losers in this aspect. I guess the challenges we have here, which we touched on the very first presentation, is in Southeast Asia, at least it's going to be the ASEAN grid, and how are we going to get that grid up and running? And how are we going to get the community as a whole, and I say community being the region, or ASEAN, to work as one entity. That's probably one of the biggest challenges, which is why I don't expect this to happen soon, but I do believe we can get there eventually. And just to summarize on where we're going in the future, IT regulation needs to come up, needs to go up, it needs to push the industry harder to where we need to be. More sustainable methods of construction need to be looked at. Prefabricated modules, prefabricated DCs, prefabricated sets. Microgrids, like I just touched on, to allow for fully integrated community-scale delivery systems, possibly allowing the removal of backup systems on your data center. So all the backup systems, it's not that they don't exist, they exist on the grid and not in your site. Investment and development in the hydrogen economy, and how is that going to work with your specific site? Higher density cooling sites. Again, what do we allow for when we design a high density site? Do we allow for 25 kPa floors? Do we allow for traditional 15? Do we allow for a substation that's oversized? Do we allow for space for future substation to allow the capacity to go up? Well, how do we consider that on day one master planning? Embodied carbon assessments, again, to touch on that, understanding the full life cycle of all the material, particularly the MEP equipment, which takes up a substantial part of the load. And finally, I guess, a community scale approach to what we're trying to achieve as an end goal, as an industry and as a community, to reduce to allow the digitization of the human race, yet not cause that digitization to cause a downfall. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jeremy Tan, for your introduction about RED and also pointing out some opportunities and also some challenges right there, especially in the Southeast Asia region. So as for today, all in all, all of our speakers has mentioned that in order to embrace the future of the green data center, we need to be aware of the increasing demand by AI-powered technology and also the computing power and also the data explosion, as well as the future of the trend, as well as intelligent operation and maintenance, sustainability, safety, and reliability. So the final session would be the panel discussion. At this round, we would like to welcome some of our keynote speakers and guest speakers joining us and tell us more about their ideas. So we would like to welcome Deputy Director of APAC Data Center Facility Partner and Ecosystem Development, Mr. Jan Etz. Welcome, Mr. Jan Etz. And also welcome Executive Director of Acumen Consulting Thailand, Mr. Kasim Ninjaram. Welcome. And also, please welcome Managing Director of Green Bay CESM ASEAN PhD, Mr. Nick Chonglim Kong. Welcome Senior Vice President, International Business GDS, Mr. Jimmy Yu, joining. Please also welcome CEO of Bersama Digital Data Center, Mr. Arthur Angelo Schilinder. Welcome. And also, please welcome President of Huawei DCF Business APAC, Mr. Steve Kim. So, as for our panel discussion, we would like to welcome Mr. Jan Etz to be the host. So let's enjoy.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, valued partners, customers and colleagues, and welcome to our panel discussion. So for today, we invited 5 panelists who bring a wealth of experience and expertise in various areas of the data center industry. Gentlemen, thank you once again for making time to be here today. So, to start off, clearly digitalization is fundamentally changing the economy and our society. Continuous advancements in technology made it possible to store and process more data than ever before, and the increased reliance on digital services and a large amount of data requirements by governments, enterprises, and consumers make data centers the backbone of a new digital economy. We already experienced good growth after the last 5 years, mainly driven by the increased demand for cloud computing and OTT services, the popularity of social media platforms, and the emergence of e-commerce, and this growth is expected to continue. However, it doesn't stop there, because in addition, the rollout of 5G is paving the way for new IoT technology as autonomous driving cars, smart cities, smart buildings, and even industrial automation. And to make things even more interesting, our industry is now also facing a seemingly extreme fast adoption of AI-powered technology, such as ChatGPT. And it's already been mentioned several times today. ChatGPT was able to adopt 100 million users within 2 or 3 months. And compared with TikTok, that took them about 6 months, and Instagram even 2.5 years, to put things in perspective. So this unprecedented increase in demand is leading to a lot of opportunity, but at the same time, this demand is putting a lot of pressure on our industry, as we are facing record low vacancy rates, unfavorable economical factors such as inflation, supply chain disruptions, energy price increases, and not to forget new directives and regulations specifically addressed towards our industry on our environmental responsibilities as large power consumers. So, during today's panel, I would like to discuss the impact of this explosive demand on our industry, what challenges and trends we are facing to match this demand, how this reflects on APAC markets, and what will be the direction to enable a smart, reliable, and green data center of the future. So, to start off with the first question, Jimmy and Kasim, maybe I can start with you, and related to ChatGPT because it's such a hot topic. So, can you please tell us what your views are on the impact of AI-powered technology on the data center industry, and what are the main challenges and trends that we will be facing?
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Huawei, for having me here. So for the ChatGPT, I think ChatGPT is just the name of the product. I think it's some kind of the generative AI. It's quite similar to what you call for Alexa or Siri for the voice command. So I think it's the impact of the ChatGPT or generative AI. It will be effectively to the computing processing. So I think it's gonna be the challenging in terms of the supercomputing. So for the energy consumption and also the existing facility, how you gonna provide and serve the demand of the AI, generative AI, that they produce a lot of data. So as everyone know that data is the gold. So it's a part of the gold and the oil. So it become important. So I think the challenging and the impact is how we gonna provide the data center facility to support. Because nowadays everyone is focusing only the facility to provide the energy efficiency, but on the other hand, everyone forget about the IT, because the energy distribution, the IT consume a lot of around 50%, and cooling is around 23%. The power is another 10%. So, and all the lighting is another 3 or 4%. So I think it maybe nowadays we need to focus back to the IT usage as well. So IT load is very, very important that we need to focus. So I think this will be moved forward to liquid cooling system that can help a lot. So this one will be impact in terms of the cooling and the power, honestly.
Thank you, Kassem. So Jimmy, we already had a discussion before. So do you think that GPT, is it a hype, just like blockchain, the metaverse, or do you think that this is actually really going to happen?
Hey, thanks. I think from our observation, we see this could be something more revolutionary in terms of how its impact into our industry, I mean the data center industry. What we see is maybe 10 years ago, when the cloud service provider, when the cloud industry grows, it grows into a way that a traditional co-location or data center providers, they won't probably not gonna do, right? Because it used to be just in a building or one data hall, two data hall. When the cloud service provider really pushing the industry, you will see those larger deployments. And these larger deployments usually come with, they call it available zone, right? So you have one market or one cluster, they have to have multiple regions or multiple zones, and then for them to connecting up and building up to do that, right? So we see the major difference between the current cloud and the ChatGPT or the AIGC, AI generate content, is something that they were still using the big hyperscalers cloud or computing platform, but in a sort of different ways of design. There is actually bring up opportunities for countries, I would say, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, within the region, have larger scale of resources in terms of land, in terms of utility, in terms of renewable, which can housing, because this is probably not gonna be that much of location specific. For any company who wants to do larger deployments of AI, GC, I don't need it to be the center of Tokyo. I don't need it to be the center of Singapore, right? I can be in a place that I can access to a scalable resource. And then I can have the simple network connection. And then, because it's AI and machine learning, the computing is going to continue, right? So you just need to make sure that works. And then this is our observation. It could be right, it could be wrong, but we have to build something slightly different because we've been building data center for cloud service providers for the last, say, 10 years, right? So we probably have to think about a bit of new ways how we should do that for the new sectors, especially for AIGC. And then come to the demand, we actually also experienced from our partners and from our own, we have got experience that a lot of big hyperscalers, they are moving into the sectors, and the demand we see is actually pretty strong. This is definitely not the traditional like few megawatt of demand, right? It's kind of quite a larger demand, which it sees that when this industry really grows and the more adoptions people using, we will see that it might be a very larger growth point for our industries. Yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy, for your insight. So still related to the increase of demand, maybe Angelo and Nick, can you share your insights on how you think this increase in demand will reflect on the APAC region, and how different trends and challenges will be driving the growth across the region?
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, I totally agree with Jimmy that the data center demand is huge, growing very fast in Asian country, right? I'm from Malaysia, so what we have witnessed previously, before pandemic, the data center size are more like small and medium, right? But right after the pandemic, okay, so we start seeing the mega data center coming into Malaysia, or place like Indonesia before pandemic, right? So I think the reason of this suddenly surge in the data center requirement is like you already know, like Industry 4.0, AI power, right? I think I will touch a little more on our personal behavior, right? As a user, right? Those days, like 20 years ago, the way of our communication is using SMS, just a text, right? And that's only creating maybe few bytes, right? Then after that, people start sending photo. For those, we have more data requirement, right? And nowadays, video. Now, everybody likes to watch short video, and some good quality video can go up to gigabyte, right? So that is one of the, from first personal perspective, user perspective, that is one of the contribution to the huge data center demand, right? I think besides of that, why Asian, also because of the edge computing, to solve the latency issues, right? And yeah, I think some of the speakers also talk about moratorium from Singapore, because those days previously Singapore as a central of a data center, right? When Singapore government start post on the moratorium, and Malaysia and Indonesia is one of the right good geographical place to expand or to build data center, right? So I think that is how, I mean, I see the growth of data center in APAC.
Thank you, Nick. Angelo, what about you? What kind of trends and challenges do you see?
Well, thanks, Nick. Maybe just as a background, right? I first got involved in data center business in Indonesia back in 2015 by virtue of, coincidence. I think essentially, the industry was not doing too well until late 17, early 18. I think if I can divide the industry and put it into like few buckets, right? I think, obviously the first driver that happened in 18 in places like Indonesia is the data sovereignty, right? Whereby, similar to any other countries in the world, governments start paying more attention to where the data of its citizens are located, right? I think that's point one. And I think the benefactor of that regulation, obviously, people like us, as what you describe as a multi-tenant data center, whereby, some of this, predominantly big financial institutions start to like, okay, we need to move our server from places like Hong Kong, Singapore, or Taiwan to Indonesia. So I think that's the first phase. The second phase, so 18 to 20, because of this whole cloud convenient, what happened is that, government then saying, okay, you can put it in the cloud, but the cloud has to be based in Indonesia. So obviously, that brings the rise of cloud and, like Jimmy mentioned as well, directly impacted data center player like, like us. My bet is a bit different on phase number 3. I think, we kind of coined a term for ourselves called colovity. So it's kind of like, co-location interconnectivity. We are carrier neutral in-town data center. So essentially, when we do build something, the thesis has always been to be in town, and we probably spend equal amount of investment in building our own interconnectivity as other people build data center as well. So the positioning for us is that, to what Nick said, right? We're at the first phase where, whatever space available, we're gonna take it. I think that's kind of like 50% there. I think now we're entering a phase where, the user, experience and the user interface quality has to be improved because all of the factors that was mentioned by Nick before. So I think, in order to stay ahead of the curve, I think DC player generally has to think above and beyond power and space. They need to start thinking about how do we improve the latency while reducing the total cost of ownership for its, various customer in various sectors. So that's from my side. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Angelo. So it's been a hot topic today, sustainability, and I think it's fair to say that this is one of our main responsibilities currently in the industry. So, Steve, from a technical point of view, what new technologies are mainly used to make data centers more sustainable? And accordingly, what other areas of the data center facility do you think are in need of more technological improvements?
Okay. I think the carbon neutrality is the main mission for every country, every industry in the next 30 years. And sustainable development is related to the happiness of our children and the grandchildren. So, like Jimmy Carlson mentioned, there are huge requirements for the data centers in APAC. And Angelo, Nick also mentioned, the industry will double the capacity in the next 5 years. But I also, from the technology point of view, to look at this industry, they have 5 trends. The trends number 1 is about increase the proportion of green power. Whether we maximize the coverage of a data center by the green power, or we increase the purchase of green power, such as the solar, this kind of renewable energies. And the second trend, I think, is about the heat waste recovery. In some colder place, we can recover the heat from the data center and send it to the commercial or residentials to reuse the heat. I think this also is a trend of global. And the third one, I think we should use more other kind of renewable energy to replace or minimize the utilization of DG. Because of DG is not so carbon neutrality sense, right? So I saw a lot of new technology adopt in this domain. We are using the natural gas or the some fuel cells to store the energy and minimize the usage of the DG. And the trends number 4, I saw there have a lot of new technologies are using in data center in industries. For example, in the power distribution systems. For example, Huawei will simplify the power distribution system. We combine the transformer, UPS, inlet cabinet, UPS output input to one equipment, shorten the power distribution path, and save the energy. For the cooling systems, I saw three major movements. First is AI. We are using the AI technologies, not only for ChatGPT, we also have a huge research in this domain, how to use AI to reduce the power waste in data center domains, and how to make our OM be more proactive. And also, we saw the liquid cooling, like the professor mentioned in the event. The liquid cooling, maybe 5 years back, we think that is not a mature technology. 2 years back, we think we just can do a trial. But you look at this year's, a lot of hyperscale data centers, they are massive deployed, the liquid cooling. And the third one for the cooling system, I saw the high temperature chilled water solution. Like today we launched the fan wall, the high voltage fan walls. Those kind of solutions will significantly reduce the PUE in the data center domain, and also make sure the data center industry can be sustainable development in the next 10 years.
Thank you, Steve, for your insights. Kasem, is there something you would like to add to that?
Thank you, Jen. So I'm acting at the designer role. So I think we can help the customer in terms of the sustainability from the planning state up to the operation state. So I think planning state nowadays, some of the customer they prefer to go with the brownfield instead of greenfield. So in order to reduce a lot of waste. Also during the design stage, so we can help the customer to come up with the solution. For example, like select the right material, select the right equipment, select the power that available in our country. For example, like right now in Thailand, we have the REC available and also the hydropower as well. So I think this is the key important thing. I sit down in this room in this afternoon. A lot of people talking about sustainability. So now I'm afraid that from our part of experience, and when we talking with the investor or operator, everyone talking about the sustainability. But I think later on we will become the greenwashing. I think we need to be careful on this one, because a lot of investors, they are care about this one, because everyone start talking about ESG or SDG. So I think greenwashing, it will become effect to the industry as well. So if we are over PR, so I think, so we at the designer, we try to help customer to do a little thing that they can implement in order to reduce the CapEx as well. So this is from my point.
Thank you, Kasem. Jimmy, because it's such an important topic, is there something that you would like to add?
Yes, like I mentioned early on, I think sustainability and how to achieve the carbon neutral or actually lower carbon solution is probably job number one for a lot of us, at least for us. That what we see is, I agree with Steve that a few steps you have to look at. First is from the technology perspective, right? So when you design a data center in terms of different scenarios, if it's in a city or if it's in a suburb or it's in a remote regions, right? So when you do the design and access to the renewable will be a key consideration, see whether you want, right? So there is quite a lot of projects in China. I mean, China has been doing quite good in terms of adopting renewables. China is pretty big. In the northern part of China, there's a lot of wind. In the West China, there is a lot of hydro, right? So when you build your data center and looking for locations, these will be some key considerations and for that, right? Then there is also each product line, power, cooling, and your gen sets, right? These are the things is what we're looking into. But those, what we see is industry is going to do the push. Just like a few years back, liquid cooling is still in a lot of talking stage, experimental stage. Now you will see customers and providers are doing that liquid cooling in a larger scale to do that deployments, which is very positive, right? And again, China is doing pretty good. A lot of Chinese players are the pioneers in the liquid cooling field in terms of both the cold play and immersed coolings, right? And then another point I want to touch on is actually sustainability or ESG, although it's to the company, but you won't be able to achieve that alone. In each country you operate and in each markets you go in, you have to work with government who is putting up the regulation, right? And good things to see is all the ASEAN countries, right? At least where we operate, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, start having all these serious policies in terms of the renewables, whether how you can get a renewable source, whether you're going to pay extra carbon tax if you're not going to adapt to renewables, right? Giving people more incentive to do that, and working with partners. That I think that will be still a key driver for people if they want to achieve their ESG goals. And we would love to see more of those collaborations between companies, countries, and governments.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is something I heard a lot today, that we can only truly become sustainable if we cooperate within the value chain. So thank you for your insights, Jimmy. Bringing us to the next question. So the OPEX increases year on year, and the deployment, operation and maintenance and management of data center infrastructures are becoming more complex. So Angelo, maybe you would like to start with this one. So what are your views on making data centers more intelligent, and why is it becoming so important?
I think that's a good question. I think the way I think about it as an answer is probably, revolve around the word automation, right? And I think the mindset about automation itself. Now, my thinking about automation, I think the way I see automation at heart is essentially, the way I would describe it is a tool, not just for a data center, but for any company, to better and faster reach economic of scale by exchanging increasing OPEX with depreciation, right? Because essentially, you can hire 100 people, 7% increase per year, yada, 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 first buying a software or like a tools that you depreciate over 10 years kind of thing. So that's kind of like the mindset as a company that we adopt. And I think essentially that will translate into a very simple, what you might call it, philosophy. We just have to put into KPI what is the maximum number of people that we want to hire to run a data center site. As simple as that. Because, most of the errors, and I think it was touched upon as well, likely come from an excess human touch point, right? And this is something that can be solved with automation, and it does help with profitability, margin, etc. So I think the answer to reduce that will obviously rely on how well, as a DC operator, you automate your entire process, Jan. Thank you.
Very clear. Thank you. Thank you, Angelo. So, Nick, what is your perspective on this topic?
I totally agree with Angelo that the number of people that the management decide to put in a data center to operate the data center, right? And using AI or smart tools like DCIM and IoT sensors to reduce the OPEX. I also agree with you that one of the challenge of DC data center operator is the OPEX. Yeah. In fact, we've been challenged by our customer, right, to reduce the OPEX by 5% every year. Imagine that we have to increase the salary of the staff year by year, but on the other hand, the DC operator are challenging us to reduce the OPEX 5% year by year, right? Okay, so definitely the IoT or the smart tools can help in reducing the OPEX, right? Imagine we have a small data center like 20 to 50 racks. You can just view it by one glance, right? But when the data center scale goes up to not only big, but geographic area, right? Where we have a main data center in the heart of a city, and you have a lot of edge data center in different stage. How are you going to monitor the data center, right? So by implementing sensors, establish connection back to the central data center. So parameters like powers, cooling, it is really help in reducing the OPEX. Yeah, you don't need to send an engineer to that state. Some state you need to fly. Yeah, and just by fingertip, you can just press and the power consumption of that data center, right? To determine whether or not I can add more servers to that place, right? Okay. Similarly to cooling, right? When the heat is getting more by installing more servers, whether my aircon can cool down, that means the cooling capacity are able to offset the heat coming out from the servers. Right. I think I will share another real life story, yeah, that coming from my customer to help them to reduce the OPEX. Yeah, so it is actually simple, right? I'm not sure. Okay, you guys have experienced that the UPS capacity in data center usually are less than 20%. Yeah, surprisingly, after we done the assessment, right, a lot of UPS capacity lies below 30 or even though below 20%. Yeah, when we have that low capacity, the UPS efficiency will also drop. Yeah, so the UPS efficiency will go to 96 or 97 when they reach 40% or some 50%, right? So when that UPS operate at this low level, okay, the efficiency is pretty low, like say maybe 50 or 60%. Yeah, so we come up with the idea to the customer that revamp the UPS, right? Because that is also a time for them to do a tech refresh. Okay, resizing the capacity of UPS, putting more intelligent system, right? And after that customer have total 30 over sites in Malaysia, right? All the states in Malaysia. After we have done that exercise by using the sensors and reports, yeah, then we managed to save around 20% of energy costs for the customer. Yeah, I totally agree that the using an IoT or smart monitoring system could help in reducing the OPEX. Yeah.
That's significant. So thank you, Nick, for your contribution. So, Kasem, is there anything you would like to add on this topic?
Okay, thank you. So for the DSIM or data center monitoring or control based on AI, I think it's very good idea. I think since the Huawei already have it for quite some time already. So nowadays the data center is very challenging and facing in terms of the skilled people shortage. It's very hard to find, and even in the previous pandemic that we having an issue that not allow many people get into the facility. I think if we can have the intelligent DSIM or data center monitoring system, it would be benefit and helping not to have many facility people in data center, and also that this one can monitor all the PUE and WUE or CUE. So in order to achieve the energy efficiency as well. So I think this is the key important. And also it can be the monitor, for example, like nowadays a lot of data center have the issue with the fire. So if we can have the maintenance prediction, it would be good that we can predict the battery or any UPS that can make the fire. I think this is, for my opinion, it would be good if we can have the AI that they can learn and then they can manage and adjust all the cooling temperature as well. I think we can save a lot of energy.
Thank you, Kasem. So this was not on the list of questions, but maybe I would like, well, maybe one of the panelists could answer this. But you know, more with regard to the end customers, I'm sure that they are very curious what is happening with the infrastructure that is holding their data. So are there any specific requirements coming from end customers specifically on transparency about the way that data center nowadays do operation and maintenance? Would anybody like to reply on this one?
Yeah, maybe I mean, I'm not in operation, but we do operate a massive loads of data center in China. The question you're asking in terms of what customer getting, I think it's quite transparent as of now that you building your data center is serving your customers' critical loads, right? So there is different ways if there is a major tenant or you have really design and build for just that customer, not much of issue that you can sharing those, your monitoring. Some of the company, they were built their own systems, right? In us, we call it ROCC, it's called Regional Operation Command Center, ROCC, which it links all the data centers in the region. Say, if I have in one location, I have 20 data centers, right? So the people who can just sit into one ROCC and able to using the tools and the software to be monitoring the whole condition of that 20 data center. And then, yeah, it will be still because we are running the facility and the customer are running their IT equipments, right? So there will be a demarcation point on who is responsible for what. But usually the industry has grown into a certain factor that some are very, very key criteria, like fire protection, right? Fire detection and leakage and all these critical terms. You have to have a very quick response. And this usually, when you're going into your larger customer deployments or big customer requirements, all of these, they have a quite standard requirements, which you have to fulfill the SLAs, right? I would say for you to be able to fulfill those SLAs, you need to have all of this already in your system and ready to be transparent and open with your customer. Let them know how the site condition is and how you operate. It's a joint team effort.
Thank you, Jimmy. So this brings us to the last question. It's already been mentioned 2 times now, But you know, the data center architectures are becoming more complex, and the risks associated to them are also increasing. So in recent, more in light of recent events where several data centers actually caught fire, Steve, maybe you can answer this question. How can we ensure the safety of data centers and reduce the risk of fire, and what measures can be put in place to prevent such incidents from occurring in the future?
Well, we saw a lot of critical accidents in the last 2 years, especially in Europe, even Asia, right? South Korea, Singapore, yeah, some market, they have some critical accident in the data center domain. I think should think about this kind of security problem by 2 ways. First, we should change from the passive security to the proactive security in data center industries. If you look at the data centers, they have 2 critical systems. One is the power distribution system, one is the cooling systems. If these 2 systems have issue, I think the whole data center will have a critical accident. So how to do the full link, end-to-end monitoring, and proactive prediction of each components in this kind of 2 critical systems. So prediction of the lifespan of each component is the core to solve the issue in the data centers. This is the first point I want to share. The second sharing is about the component to the device, to the system architecture's design. For example, we saw in this industry a lot of critical accident. It brings the accident by the battery systems. So battery is one component in the data centers. But how to ensure the battery is more secure, more reliable? You know, in this industry, maybe some providers, they just package the sales and sell to the customers. They don't know how to make the battery be more safe. But from Huawei's R&D inside, every accident in the data center can be predicted and managed. When we design the batteries, if you look at Huawei's engineering, we know how to dedicate each sales. We know how to manage the runaway of each sales. Even if you look at the package coverage design also is different from other providers. And we even have the self-extinguish equipment in every package. So from the package level security, you must understand this industry. Because of Huawei is the products and solution provider, but we also manage massive data centers. We know each level's security issues. So we adopt those experience in the research, in the engineering from the components level. And then coming to the device level, we know the data center have tier 3, tier 4 design, right? And the device or are the hot swappable. And there have a lot of redundancy design in the data centers. So we must make sure the security is from the device level. 1 or 2 device failure will not give the result of the big critical accident in the data center domain. And then if you look at the system levels architecture design, for example, let's talk about the battery systems. From Huawei's inside, each hyperscale data center should dedicate the battery to the battery room, separate from the power distribution systems. And we recommend for the battery room, we should use the water fire protection systems. This is our recommendation. And we think water fire protection system is much secure than the gas fire protection systems, especially for the battery room. By this kind of architecture levels design, we can ensure the data center, the next generation data center security will come to the proactive security. The last point is about the AI. We know the AI can make this happen in the data center domain, change the passive security to the proactive security. This is my sharing for this topic.
Thank you very much, Steve. So maybe Angelo, from BDDC, what kind of measures have you put in place?
We are located in town, so this is a topic that very much close to my heart, Jan. I think essentially I would put it in, two different big buckets, the micro one and the macro one. I think from micro perspective, I just would like to echo what Steve was saying. I think essentially it boils down to what we call, DCMC. Essentially it's design, construction, maintenance, and certification, right? You want to make sure that, you design your DC properly, segmentation, segregation properly, especially those that are related to, fire system and security. I think the second one, construction, I think essentially, do not cut corners when it comes to things like this. I think from maintenance, essentially, you want to make sure that you do like a proper stress test, take fire drill seriously, etc. The last one, I think, with respect to certification, you must make sure that, all the employees, especially the engineers who are in the field, are well certified and well trained to encounter such situation in order to prevent it before it actually happens. And this is kind of like on top of whatever the preventive, predictive maintenance that was mentioned by Steve as well. So that's on the macro side, on the micro side. On the macro side, I think for us, it's all about site selection, right? Essentially, when we pick a site to build, we want to make sure that the closest fire brigade is within 1.5 kilo. So, if all hit the fan, right, worst possible scenario happen, at least, we have a backstop that it can arrive within 3 to 5 minutes, even if it's in Jakarta traffic. So that's kind of like the way I see it. That's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. So I see the time is up. So that brings us to the end of the panel discussion. So maybe for a short conclusion, I think energy efficiency, operation and maintenance, automation, sustainability and scalability are the major focus areas that we are currently facing. So to become more efficient, we can use advanced cooling technologies, AI technology, I hear a lot today, energy efficient equipment and improved and simplified designs. Automated O&M is practically unavoidable. Manual O&M, as mentioned, for large complex data centers, it's just merely impossible to do. And the costs associated with it is out of proportion. So from a scalability point of view, virtualization, modular designs can allow easy and fast expansion and management of resources, enabling data centers to quickly adapt to changing demands. And last but not least, regarding sustainability, yes, we can use renewable energy, but I think it's fair to say that the data center industry itself cannot do it alone. As you also mentioned, Kasem, cooperation within the value chain is going to be very important, including governments, IT equipment suppliers, utility companies, to carry the shared responsibility of carbon neutrality targets. So before we wrap up, I would like to thank each panelist for sharing their valuable insights. Thank you, guys. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, thank you for attending. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. And please give our panel a big round of applause.
Of course, a big round of applause to 6 of our speakers, and also thank you, Mr. Jan Etz. Thank you so much for hosting the panel discussion. Really impressive. Thank you so much, our gentlemen. Yes, exactly, ladies and gentlemen. During the panel discussion and also during the whole afternoon sharing, we've heard a lot of practical sharing from Huawei and also all the global partners about the digital era, about our digital center building. And during the afternoon time, we think all in all, we hope that through our joint efforts, we can have an open platform for all partners to join our community and also the ecosystem to build up more in the digital era. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is almost the end for our today's conference. And stay tuned with Huawei. We are looking forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for your participating. Thank you so much.